I've been stuck in this world for half a month now. I used to be a professional gold farmer, someone who makes real money grinding in video games. I was pretty well known in that line of work. But I got bored with the routine, so I decided to try a new fully immersive game called Divine Domain, just to relax. Big mistake. Once I logged in, I couldn't get out. And this place feels completely real. I can feel pain, I get hungry, I need to sleep. Even the NPCs act like real people. I almost starved to death at first, until I got captured and put to work as a miner. Now I spend my days in a massive open pit mine, swinging a pickaxe at something called Fire Crystal Rock. It's incredibly hard stuff. Every swing has to be full force or nothing happens. But here's the thing. Every time I strike the rock, a cool energy flows into my body through the pickaxe. It eases my tiredness and builds up my stamina. That energy is experience points, and when I collect enough, I level up. Today I finally hit level 3 and got a free attribute point. My stats aren't great. My strength started low at just 4, though my agility and spirit are decent. I put the point straight into strength because it makes me mine faster, which means more experience points. The moment I added it, warmth flooded through me. All my soreness vanished, and my health jumped from 50 to 60. Health matters a lot here. A few days ago I fell and hit my head, and lost 20 health points just like that. I had to buy a healing potion to recover. I've wondered whether dying here would send me back to the real world, but I'm too scared to test it. What if dying here means dying for real? So my plan is simple, grind as hard as I can. But there's a problem, a guy called Fifth Brother. He's the big shot among the miners, tall and strong with 7 points in strength. He came up to me today with his crew and told me to stop working so many hours. Normal miners work 5 periods a day, but I've been doing 8. He said I was making everyone else look lazy in front of Supervisor Wu, and threatened me if I didn't stop. I checked his stats. He's still stronger than me, and he has people backing him up. Fighting him now would be stupid. So I played nice, agreed to his terms, and even handed over half my mind crystals. He took them and left, warning me he'd be watching. But I'm not actually going to stop. I'll just have to be smarter about it, avoid him, and keep grinding in secret. Once my strength hits 10, a small-time bully like him won't be able to push me around anymore. I found another vein of Fire Crystal Rock and pulled out my pickaxe. Time to get back to work. After 5 hours of mining, I'd managed to make back the half I lost to Fifth Brother. The other miners were heading out, all looking exhausted. I faked being tired too, even though the experience energy had taken care of most of my soreness. I spotted Fifth Brother near the exit, scanning the crowd to make sure nobody was working overtime. Good, let him think I'd fallen in line. We all lined up to turn in our fire crystals. That's when I heard shouting up ahead. A skinny young guy was getting beaten by the mine guards on orders of a supervisor called Manager Neo. The kid hadn't even managed to collect half a tael of crystal in a full day's work. Then the kid started screaming something that made my heart skip. "You damn NPCs. I'll sue you Divine Domain developers when I get out." I immediately checked his stats. His name was Zhang Wei, and he had a level and health points. He wasn't an NPC. He was a player, just like me. I'd spent over 2 weeks checking every single person I came across, and this was the first one. But his stats were terrible. Level 1, only 2 strength, and his health had dropped to just 1 point from the beating. He was in real danger. Luckily, the manager called off the guards before they killed him, but told Zhang Wei he'd get no money and no food today. If he couldn't meet the quota tomorrow either, he'd starve to death within days. I turned in my own crystals, just 1 tael since Fifth Brother took the rest. Manager Neo noticed Fifth Brother's gang watching nearby and seemed to understand the situation. He handed me my 10 copper coins without fuss. On my way out, I grabbed Zhang Wei and dragged him back to my place, a crappy little shack that leaks when it rains. He was unconscious. His health was down to 1 point, and it seemed like being that low put him in some kind of coma state. I dug out the healing potion from under my bed. It cost me 5 coins, and I'd been saving it for emergencies. But I couldn't just let the guy die. I fed it to him along with some water and watched his health slowly climb, about 1 point per minute. Once it passed 10, he started waking up. The first thing he asked was how to leave the game. My stomach sank. He'd been trapped here for 2 weeks too, with no way out. He had no answers either. Then I noticed something strange. He didn't know my name. He couldn't see my stats. I asked him about mining, and he confirmed it. The fire crystal was impossibly hard for him, and he could barely scrape any off. It all made sense now. Zhang Wei couldn't see the attribute panel, which meant he probably wasn't getting experience points either. Without that cool energy to ease the fatigue and soreness, a normal person simply couldn't mine properly. No wonder he failed to meet the quota. He just kept cursing the developers. I couldn't blame him. Zhang Wei asked me what we should do next. I told him the priority was simple: stay alive. We can't gamble on anything in this place. The rules of the mine are clear. Turn in at least 1 tael of fire crystal per day, get 10 copper coins. 1 coin buys a steamed bun. 3 coins buy half a pound of rice. No crystals means no money, and no money means starvation. Zhang Wei panicked when he heard that. He could barely scrape together half a tael, even working himself to exhaustion. So I made him a deal. I'd help him meet the daily quota, but the extra coins I earned were mine. He agreed right away and called me his lifesaver. Over the next few days, I brought him along and showed him the ropes. I kept watching his condition closely. He had to rest after just a few swings. No experience points, no stamina recovery, no stat changes at all. Meanwhile, because I'd been leaving on time for several days in a row, Fifth Brother had relaxed his watch on me. The mine is huge, over 1,000 workers, so as long as nobody was specifically looking, I could sneak in extra hours without being noticed. 5 days after my last level up, I heard that sweet chime again. Level 4. I dumped the point into strength immediately. Warmth flowed through me, washing away all the day's fatigue. My stats now read: Strength 7, Agility 5, Spirit 10, Health 70. Strength 7, same as Fifth Brother, and my agility is 2 points higher than his. If I caught him alone, I could probably take him in a fight. As a professional gold farmer, I've got solid game sense, and that translates even to physical confrontations here. At this rate, with my strength boosting how fast I mine, I figured I could hit the next level in 5 or 6 days. Once I reach 10 strength, I'll finally have some real ability to protect myself. Then my pickaxe broke. Durability hit 0, but I'd saved enough money by now to buy a better one, so it wasn't a big deal. I headed to the entrance with Zhang Wei to turn in my crystals. Manager Niu came out and weighed my haul. 3 taels. He looked impressed and handed me 30 coins without any fuss. I took a chance and quietly asked him why nobody stops Fifth Brother from bullying miners into working less. He shrugged it off. As long as everyone turns in the minimum 1 tael, his job is done. More crystals don't benefit him, so why would he pick a fight with Fifth Brother? Then he gave me a warning. Fifth Brother has a sister who's a concubine of Supervisor Wu. That explained everything. Fifth Brother had real backing. I thanked Manager Niu and kept that information filed away. Zhang Wei was still holding a grudge against Niu for the beating he got, and I could tell he wasn't happy about me being so polite to the guy. But survival comes first. Grudges are a luxury I can't afford right now. On the way home, Zhang Wei complained about me being polite to Manager Niu. I told him Niu wasn't actually a bad guy. That beating was his way of showing Zhang Wei what happens if you can't pull your weight here. I'd been watching Niu for a while. He acts cold, but he's decent underneath. He lets overtime miners trade crystals at night, and the tip about Fifth Brother's sister was valuable information. The next day, I skipped mining and went to the blacksmith shop in the southwest corner of the village. I'd saved up 240 copper coins after covering food and expenses, enough to buy a better pickaxe. The blacksmith, Old Wong, pointed me to 3 iron pickaxes on the wall, 200 coins each. But while I was looking them over, I noticed something incredible. One of those 3 wasn't actually an iron pickaxe, it was a steel pickaxe. It looked identical to the others, but the stats were completely different. Strength +3 and attack power of 8, same as a proper iron staff weapon. The iron pickaxes only gave +2 strength and 1 attack. The blacksmith thought they were all the same. Same price too, 200 coins. I kept my face calm, pretended to compare them casually, then grabbed the steel one, paid my 200 coins and walked out. Once I was far enough away, I let myself get excited. That pickaxe was worth at least 2 silver taels to another player. What a find. Then Fifth Brother appeared with his crew and blocked my path. He knew I'd been sneaking in overtime shifts. My stomach dropped, and then I spotted Zhang Wei in the crowd, face bruised and swollen, trying to hide behind the others. He'd told them. Zhang Wei had ratted me out. Fifth Brother rallied the other miners against me. They were angry, saying my extra work might lead management to raise everyone's quota. He ordered his men to break one of my arms. Break my arm? That would end everything. No arm means no mining. No mining means no leveling. That crossed my line. When his two thugs came at me, I kicked the first one in the gut so hard he flew back several feet. The second one barely had time to react before I punched him down. 7 points of strength. I'd estimate each hit carried the force of a professional boxer. The whole crowd went silent. I stared Fifth Brother down and told him plainly, "Leave me alone and we have no problems. Interfere with my mining and I'll kill him." His face went dark and he started rolling up his sleeves. I gripped the steel pickaxe at my waist. 3 extra strength points surged through me. I could feel every muscle in my body come alive. Then a cold voice cut through the tension. Supervisor Wu had arrived with his guards. Fifth Brother shrank like a scared bird. I checked Wu's stats immediately. His name was Wu Kei, and he was the first martial artist I'd seen in this world. Strength 12, Agility 8, Spirit 3, and he practiced something called Black Tiger Fist at an intermediate level. His raw stats weren't hugely above the mine guards, so I figured the real difference was that martial art. That was the direction I needed to go. Fifth Brother quietly called him sister before catching himself and saying, "Supervisor Wu." Wu ignored him and looked at me, asking if I really liked mining that much. I bowed and said with a straight face, "Supervisor Wu, I believe I was born to be a miner. I mine even in my dreams." Every miner in earshot nearly choked. Fifth Brother looked furious, but Supervisor Wu burst out laughing. He said in all his years managing this mine, he'd never met anyone like me. He told me to keep mining as much as I wanted, and if anyone gave me trouble, to come find him. Then he mentioned something interesting. In 1 month, some important officials would be inspecting several mines. Each mine needed to send workers to compete in a mining skills contest. He casually told me I'd be the one representing our mine. After Supervisor Wu left, Fifth Brother chased after him, and the crowd scattered. Zhang Wei came up to me pretending nothing happened, asking if I was hurt. I looked him in the eye and told him straight, "I'm not stupid." He admitted he couldn't handle the beating and gave me up. I told him I'd let it go this once since we're both players, but from now on we go our separate ways. He can mine on his own. I walked off toward the mine without looking back. I found an untouched patch of fire crystal and gripped my new steel pickaxe. 3 points of strength surged into me instantly. My total was now 10. That's only 2 less than Supervisor Wu himself. The only people in this mine matching me were the guards. I swung the pickaxe hard. 1 strike and a chunk of crystal broke clean off. Before, it took 3 to 5 hits for the same result. The difference was incredible. After 5 hours, my pouch was stuffed with about a full pound of crystal, nearly 10 times what I could manage when I first arrived. A pound trades for 100 copper coins, and 1,000 coppers make 1 silver tael. I remembered hearing when I was first dragged here as a vagrant that 5 silver taels could buy an official identity in Green Mountain City. Right now, most miners here, about 80 or 90%, are vagrants like me, with no legal identity and no protection under the city's laws. The locals with proper identities, like Uncle Wong, don't get bullied by people like Fifth Brother. Based on my experience with other games, I figured getting an official identity was probably the first real milestone in Divine Domain, and maybe the gateway to learning martial arts. At my current rate, mining 2 pounds a day for 200 coins, I could earn 5 taels in less than a month. So my 2 goals were clear: keep leveling up and save for that identity. As I searched for more crystal veins, I noticed how scattered and small the surface deposits were. I kept glancing at the dark mine tunnels around me. Those tunnels sometimes held large crystal formations, much better than surface scraping. But Uncle Wong had warned me about 3 dangers down there. The tunnels are a maze where you can get lost or trapped in a collapse shady people use. The darkness to ambush and rob miners. And worst of all, there are rare but deadly poisonous mine bugs that can kill you before you even reach a doctor. I decided against it. My plan is to level up steadily. Maybe once my strength hits 15 and my health reaches 150, several times tougher than a normal person, I'd have a real chance down there. For now, it's not worth the risk. Then I heard someone behind me. I spun around, pickaxe ready. It was a lean middle-aged man named Zhao Ho. I recognized him, a local with official identity, not a vagrant. Uncle Wong had mentioned him before. His stats showed strength 7 but agility 8, 3 points higher than mine. That was well beyond normal. He said he'd seen what happened in the village today and asked if I was thinking about going into the tunnels. I denied it immediately. Zhao Ho saw right through me. He noticed my bulging pouch and figured I was outgrowing the surface mining. He offered to sell me a map of the mine tunnels for 200 coins, plus antidote medicine for the poisonous bugs. I played cautious and asked how I could trust the map was real. He told me to check with Manager Nyo and said we could meet at his place tomorrow. That night, I turned in 2 pounds of crystal, 200 coins. Manager Nyo was surprised at the amount. He commented that my strength seemed much greater than when I first arrived. That made me nervous. I hadn't expected NPCs to notice things like that. I told him I'd just been underfed before and was recovering now. He seemed to accept it. I asked him about Zhao Ho's maps. He confirmed they were about 80% reliable, with maybe 20% having some gaps. Good enough. Then Zhang Wei dragged himself over to turn in his crystals. Just barely one tail. He took his 10 coins without even thanking Nyo and limped away, muscles clearly destroyed from the effort. But when I checked his stats, I got a surprise. He'd leveled up to level 2. His strength had gone from 2 to 3. So he could level up after all, even without seeing the attribute panel or feeling the experience energy. But he clearly had no idea. He couldn't sense it, couldn't control where his points went. I decided to keep watching him to make sure he wasn't hiding this ability on purpose. If I was truly the only player who could see stats and manually assign points, that was a huge advantage I needed to protect. Manager Nyo noticed the tension between us and gave me some advice. In a place like this, working alone is better than working with someone. Partners can turn on you when they see money. I took that to heart. The next day, I visited Zhao Ho at his home. He spread out a map covering 5 mine tunnels, marking where large crystal deposits had been found, where bugs had appeared, and where collapses had happened. The system recognized the map. When I touched it, a notification popped up saying it was loading into my attribute panel. A new map tab appeared with all 5 tunnels laid out. But here's where I got clever. I told Zhao Ho I was having second thoughts and wanted to return the map. He said no refunds, but since I hadn't left his house yet, he'd give me back 100 coins if I returned the physical map. I agreed. He took the paper map back and handed me 100 coins, looking a bit puzzled. What he didn't know was that the map had already been loaded into my system. I still had it digitally, stored right in my attribute panel. I just saved myself 100 coins. So for just 100 coins, I got a full tunnel map. Now I had 150 coins left, and my next stop was the pharmacy, run by Supervisor Wu, to stock up on antidote and healing potions before heading underground. Outside the pharmacy, I overheard 3 newcomers talking. 2 guys and a girl, all with soft, pale skin, clearly not used to hard labor. They were arguing about being trapped in divine domain, and what the girl said hit me like ice water. The news back in the real world was reporting over 30,000 people missing, and they suspected everyone had been pulled into the game physically, body and all. That changed everything. I'd been half hoping my real body was still sitting in a chair somewhere, safely hooked up to a headset. But no, my actual body was here, which meant dying in divine domain meant dying for real. I shuddered and tried not to think about what would happen if tens of thousands of people across multiple countries all died in here. I also noticed something about these 3 newcomer stats. Like Zhang Wei, their strength and agility were around 2 or 3, and their spirit was only 1 or 2. Meanwhile, mine was 10. Every player I'd seen so far had low spirit. That had to mean something important. One of them, a guy named Chen Su, nervously approached me and asked to borrow money for food. They'd been starving for a full day. His friend Lin Guoyang accidentally blurted out the word NPC in front of me, which made Chen Su panic. They'd already figured out that the people here aren't like game characters. Say the wrong thing, and you could get yourself killed. I played dumb about the NPC comment and gave them 3 copper coins for steamed buns. I told them what every vagrant needs to know. Get a pickaxe from Manager Nyo, mine crystals, earn coins, save up for an official identity. Then I walked into the pharmacy without telling them my name or that I was a player too. No reason to reveal that yet. Inside, I bought 10 bottles of healing medicine for 50 coins. Each one restores 10 health points. Then I asked about antidotes for mine bugs. The clerk pulled out a bottle of 5 antidote pills for 50 coins, though he warned me they don't work against every type of bug venom. After the pharmacy, I went to the dry goods shop and spent my remaining 47 coins on hard flatbread, the kind that keeps for about 10 days without going bad. My appetite had grown with my strength, so I needed about 10 pieces a day. My plan was taking shape. Supervisor Wu's mining competition was a month away. I could spend 4 or 5 days at a stretch down in the tunnels, come out to resupply, and repeat. Maximum grinding time, minimum wasted trips. With my map loaded, medicine stocked, and food packed, I headed toward the mine. Time to go underground. I spent the day mining in a quiet corner, gathering experience while watching for the right moment to slip into the tunnels. I spotted Zhang Wei working hard with a hint of excitement on his face. He must have noticed his strength growing, even if he didn't understand why. I also saw Chen Su, Lin Guoyang, and Wu Ming struggling together against a single patch of crystal, barely scraping off dust. If they were smart enough to pool their efforts for one tail between the three of them, they'd survive. I decided on a policy going forward. Small acts of kindness for fellow players, but never reveal that I'm one of them. Only Zhang Wei knew, and that was already one person too many. If my ability to see stats was truly unique, it was my biggest edge. When night fell and miners started leaving, I slipped into Tunnel 1. I chose it because it was the most winding, harder to navigate, but also harder for anyone to follow me. Inside, it was pitch black. I lit a fire stick and followed my map deeper, passing a few other miners who stuck close to the entrance. We ignored each other. Deep inside, I spotted a faint glow, fire crystal, shining in the darkness. At least a pound's worth. But as I got closer, something felt wrong. I heard breathing. He noticed us. Get him, someone shouted. Figures rushed at me from the dark. Mine bandits. The kind who set up crystal deposits as bait and ambush whoever comes for them. I swung my steel pickaxe blindly and heard metal snap. One of them yelled that his knife had broken. Then one got close. A blade sank into my shoulder, searing pain. But my pickaxe found his skull. I felt it sink deep into bone. I'd killed someone. And then something unexpected happened. A massive wave of cold energy flooded into me, experience points. Far more than any amount of mining had ever given me. Killing people gave experience too. The chimes sounded. Level 5. I dumped the point into strength immediately, bringing my total to 11 with the pickaxe equipped. I couldn't stop to think about it. The others were still attacking in the darkness. I swung wildly, trading blow for blow. 3 more went down. Each death sent another huge surge of experience into me, roughly equal to 10 hours of mining per kill. When it went quiet, I checked my stats. Health had dropped to 50 out of 80. I swallowed 3 healing potions and waited for them to work. In about 30 minutes, I'd be back to full, and the wounds would close on their own. One of the few advantages Divine Domain seemed to give players. One bandit was still alive, the leader who'd given the initial order. He called out from the darkness, offering me 3 pounds of bait crystal as a peace offering if I let him go. His voice sounded familiar. "Fifth brother," I said. He panicked and denied it. Being exposed as a mine bandit would ruin him. Even his brother-in-law Supervisor Wu couldn't protect him from that. I disguised my voice and called myself Zhang Wei, pretending to be scared. Fifth brother's anger flared the moment he heard that name, and he lunged at me. Exactly what I wanted. He dove forward, and my pickaxe went straight through his back and out his chest, pinning him to the ground. I lit the fire stick and leaned in close. His eyes went wide when he saw my face. Not Zhang Wei, but me. He coughed blood and managed a weak laugh. "You'll be joining me soon," he said. Then he died. Fifth brother's last words bothered me. He said I'd be joining him soon. That had to mean the mining competition between the different mines could be deadly. If that was true, I needed to level up even faster and get my identity before the contest. One strange thing, killing Fifth brother gave me no experience at all, even though his stats were the highest of the group. The other 4 bandits all gave huge amounts. I thought about it and realized the difference. Those 4 were real fights where my life was in danger. Fifth brother I caught off guard with a trick. It was too easy. The system must require genuine life or death struggle to award combat experience. That actually made sense as a safety measure. Otherwise, powerful players could just massacre villages for easy levels. I buried all 5 bodies in a remote spot deep in the tunnel, packed the dirt tight. Nobody should find them anytime soon. After the nausea passed, because yes, I'd really killed people, and this wasn't just a game anymore. I took stock of my loot. 3 pounds of bait crystal from Fifth brother's trap, plus about a pound of crystal and 400 copper coins from the bodies. Combined with the 2 pounds I'd mined myself, That was 6 pounds of crystal worth 600 coins, plus 400 in cash. About 1 silver tael total. Then I found a piece of silver in Fifth Brother's pouch, roughly 2 taels. My total wealth had jumped to 3 taels. Just 2 more, and I could buy an identity. I pushed deeper into the tunnels using my map, moving in the dark without a fire stick, stopping every few steps to listen. I found crystal veins and ground away at them for days straight. Eat flatbread when hungry, drink water when thirsty, nap when exhausted. When I filled 3 pouches, about 30 pounds, the level up chime rang again. Level 6. I put the point into strength as always. My stats now: strength 9 base plus 3 from the pickaxe, giving me 12 total, matching Supervisor Wu. Health at 90. My overall stats actually exceeded his when you counted everything. When my food ran low, I headed back out through a different route for safety. It was deep night when I emerged. I was nervous about turning in 30-plus pounds of crystal at once. It would raise questions. But hiding that much wasn't practical either, especially since my mining speed would only keep increasing. Manager Nyo weighed my haul, 32 pounds. He joked about me being a mine bandit. I played dumb and laughed it off. Then he offered to pay in silver instead of copper, more convenient for that amount. I mentioned the total was 30 pounds, not 32. He paused, looked at me, smiled, and nodded. He handed me 3 taels of silver for the 30 pounds and kept the extra 2 pounds as his cut. I understood the game. With Fifth Brother's 2 taels plus these 3, I now had 5 taels, enough for an official identity. But buying it right away would draw too much attention. Better to wait a bit. What I didn't know was that after I left, Nyo was telling the mine guard his theory about me. Apparently a city called Hongkuan had recently suffered a disaster. Bandits raided it and destroyed a powerful family called the Yang clan. Nyo suspected I was a surviving member of that family, possibly a trained martial artist hiding as a common miner. He'd been nice to me as a way of hedging his bets. The guard was impressed by his foresight. Not a bad cover story, I thought. I'd let him keep believing whatever he wanted. The next morning, Zhang Wei showed up at my door looking sheepish. He'd figured out that players could level up. He'd felt a warm flow in his body while mining and noticed his strength jump. He wanted me to share everything I knew: how long it takes to level, what stats you can raise, where to find martial arts, how to get quests. I turned him down flat. I told him I had no reason to share information with him, and if he tried to guilt-trip me, I'd kill him. He's a vagrant here. Nobody would care. As for his questions, I told him I didn't have those answers either, and if he figured them out first, he could come tell me. He left angry, muttering about catching up to me and how I was only a few levels ahead. When I got to the mine that morning, something was off. Every single miner was lined up together, surrounded by guards with hard expressions. I worried for a second it was about Fifth Brother's disappearance, but Uncle Wong whispered the real reason. A wanted criminal had infiltrated our workforce. The man was on something called the Blacklist, a national wanted list for dangerous martial artists in the Zhao Kingdom. To make the Blacklist, you had to have committed something as extreme as wiping out an entire family. Uncle Wong knew a fair bit about these things as a local. Supervisor Wu held up a portrait and told everyone to look around for unfamiliar faces. One miner spotted someone and opened his mouth to speak, and instantly got his throat slashed. Blood everywhere. The crowd panicked. Zhang Wei, Lin Guoyang, and the others went white. I gripped my steel pickaxe. With 12 strength, I felt reasonably safe, but I stayed cautious. The killer, a man called Zhang Hao, nicknamed the Prisoner Butcher, tried to break through the crowd. I checked his stats: strength 13, agility 18 with 8 points coming from equipment, spirit 3, and he practiced something called Zhang family leg technique at intermediate level. Then I saw something that changed my entire understanding of this world. When Supervisor Wu activated his Black Tiger Fist to fight, his stats transformed. His strength jumped from 12 to 24, doubled. The extra 12 points came from his martial art. That was the secret. Martial arts didn't just teach you fighting moves, they multiplied your base stats. Zhang Hao's leg technique was boosting his agility by 8 points the same way. This meant even a basic martial art would be enormously valuable to someone like me. Wu smashed Zhang Hao's face with a single punch, dropping him unconscious. One hit. The entire crowd of 1,000 miners stared in awe. A constable arrived and praised Wu's Black Tiger Fist, joking that he'd soon qualify to join something called the Mountain River Sect as a formal disciple. Wu modestly declined, saying he was too old and lacked the talent. Mountain River Sect. I burned that name into my memory. Zhang Wei and Lin Guoyang's group clearly did the same. That was our next destination, eventually. After the constables took the criminal away, I overheard something important. Supervisor Wu and the constable leader, Captain Lin, were chatting. Wu mentioned a rumor that the prisoner butcher had once snuck into a major temple called Bitter Awakening Temple and stolen a scripture. Captain Lin brushed it off as unlikely. A place that powerful wouldn't let a small-time criminal get away with something like that. Two names to remember now, Mountain River Sect and Bitter Awakening Temple. Both major organizations in the Zhao Kingdom. Watching Wu's power display shook me out of any complacency. His 24 strength when using Black Tiger Fist, and he still couldn't even qualify as an outer disciple of Mountain River Sect? How terrifyingly strong must actual sect members be? If Wu decided to attack me right now, I'd be dead in 3 moves at most. I needed to level up faster than ever. Chen Su's group of 3 found me while I was mining and came over to talk. They watched me work and were stunned. One swing of my pickaxe produced more crystal than half a day of their effort. Chen Su returned my 3 coins plus 2 extra, calling it 5 total. A small gesture, but I noticed it. He was the smart one of the group, treating it as an investment, maybe hoping to build goodwill. His friends Lin Guoyang and Wu Ming actually complained about the extra 2 coins afterward. Chen Su ended up paying those from his own share. I noted the dynamic. Chen Su was worth watching, the other 2 less so. I didn't wait for nightfall this time. I slipped into Tunnel 5 the moment nobody was looking. I avoided Tunnel 1 where Fifth Brother's bodies were buried. The thought still made me uneasy. Tunnel 5 was even more twisting than Tunnel 1. I went deep, mining every crystal vein I found. Days passed in the same rhythm. Swing the pickaxe, eat flatbread, drink water, nap, repeat. My technique had become mechanical perfection after tens of thousands of swings. Every motion precise, no wasted energy. When I found a massive crystal deposit weighing about 10 pounds, I settled in and chipped away until it was gone. The level up chime rang. Level 7. Strength now at 10 base, 13 with the pickaxe. Health at 100. My raw stats had surpassed Supervisor Wu's base numbers. All I was missing was a martial art to multiply them. Then, right as I was savoring the moment, searing pain shot through my foot. A black scorpion, a mind bug, had crawled out of the shadows and stung me. My health started plummeting fast, 99, 96, 90, 86, dropping several points every few seconds. I grabbed an antidote pill and swallowed it, then downed a healing potion right after. The antidote worked. My health stopped dropping at 67 and slowly started climbing back up with the healing potions. I popped 2 more just to stay safe. The sting left a tiny hole in my ankle. If this had happened when I first arrived with only 30 health, I'd have died before I could even reach for the antidote. The sting alone drained 33 points. After resting half an hour to heal fully, I pushed deeper. But just around the next bend, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A massive swarm of black scorpions, hundreds of them, maybe 1,000, surging toward me like a dark wave. I turned and ran. One sting nearly killed me. 1,000 of them would finish me in seconds. But as I ran, my mind started working. Uncle Wong had once mentioned that old mines sometimes produce something called a mineral spirit, an extremely valuable crystallized essence. A swarm this large had to be guarding something like that, and mining a mineral spirit would probably give enormous experience. I checked my map. The tunnel behind the swarm was a dead end, no way to sneak around them. I almost gave up, but then an idea hit me. I couldn't use fire or water down here, but I had something else. Raw strength and rocks. I spent a full day gathering over 30 boulders, each weighing 60 to 100 pounds. Then I practiced throwing them in the tunnel until I could land them within half a meter of my target. At 10 strength without the pickaxe, heaving these rocks over 10 meters was no problem. I set up the boulders at intervals along the tunnel, then went back to lure the swarm. They came pouring around the bend just like before. This time I didn't panic. I kept a steady pace, staying about 15 meters ahead of them. When I reached my first boulder, I scooped it up, spun around, and hurled it into the swarm. The crash was enormous. Scorpions splattered everywhere, and cold experience energy rushed into me. It worked. The swarm scattered briefly, then kept coming. I ran to the next rock and threw again. More kills, more experience flooding in. The level up chime sounded mid-run. Level 8. I threw the point into strength, now 11 base, and kept going. Rock after rock, the swarm thinned out until only a single scorpion remained, charging at me alone. I picked up one last boulder and crushed it. This confirmed my theory about experience. The system awards it based on genuine threat level. The scorpions were dangerous to me, so they gave experience. Fifth brother wasn't a threat when I killed him, so he gave nothing. I crept deeper into the now empty tunnel until I reached the dead end. There, glowing brilliantly, was a fist-sized crystal unlike anything I'd seen. Perfectly clear, shining like a gemstone. The fire crystal mineral spirit. And behind it, illuminated by the spirit's glow, sat an old book. The title read, Diamond Bright King Technique. A martial art. Right here, hidden at the bottom of a mine tunnel, guarded by a swarm of venomous scorpions. In that moment, everything clicked. This was how Divine Domain worked. Danger, reward, and discovery, all woven together. And I just found exactly what I needed most. My hands were shaking when I picked up that book. Everything made sense now. The prisoner butcher had stolen this martial art from Bitter Awakening Temple. That rumor Captain Lin mentioned was true. The temple probably kept it quiet to avoid drawing attention from rival factions. Zhang Hao must have been chased all the way to Green Mountain City, hidden the book down here, and used the mineral spirit to attract a swarm of scorpions as natural guards. He planned to come back for it once things cooled down, which meant I didn't have much time. The temple's monks would eventually figure out where he'd hidden it. I grabbed the book and a system prompt appeared. Diamond Bright King Technique. Requirements. Strength 10, Spirit 10. Requirements met. Absorb? So that's what Spirit was for. Every other player I'd seen had Spirit at 1 or 2. Mine was 10. My starting stats had given me exactly what I needed. I chose yes immediately. The book dissolved into golden light and merged into my body. Knowledge flooded my mind. A grand Buddhist scripture and a series of specific stances. My stats updated. The technique was classified as a first-rate martial art, currently at beginner level. When I checked the details, my jaw dropped. First layer alone would grant 5 free attribute points, and when activated, boost strength and agility by 15 each, plus 100 extra health. That was basically a second life. I buried the mineral spirit somewhere separate, too dangerous to carry and too conspicuous. Cleaned up all evidence of the scorpion battle. The martial art was the real prize. I turned in another 30 pounds of crystal to Manager Nyo, collected my silver, and headed home. That night, I started practicing. The technique involved holding specific stances while mentally reciting the scripture. The first stance was a deep horse stance with palms facing up. After about 10 minutes, I felt warmth stirring inside my body. I checked my stats. The technique had moved to Initial Understanding with 1 out of 100 experience points. I practiced all night without sleeping and didn't feel tired at all. By morning, my technique experience had reached 5 out of 100. But then it stopped gaining no matter how much I practiced. Seemed like there was a daily cap of 5 points. At that rate, 20 days would get me to Layer 1. I also noticed my job title had changed from Miner to Martial Artist. Nearly a month in Divine Domain, and I'd gone from homeless vagrant to miner to martial artist. Real progress. Then gongs started clanging outside. Guards were banging on doors, ordering everyone to the village entrance immediately. When I got there, Supervisor Wu and Captain Lin were standing together, both looking pale. In front of them stood a monk, about 30 years old, expressionless. Bitter Awakening Temple had come looking. The monk's name was Huaning, from Bitter Awakening Temple. I checked his stats immediately. Strength 18, Agility 12, Spirit 6, and 3 martial arts. Open Steel Hand, Swift Wind Steps, and Bitter Awakening Heart Sutra, a second-rate technique. 3 martial arts at once. That's the power of a major sect. But his spirit was only 6, meaning he couldn't even meet the requirements to learn Diamond Bright King technique himself. He told everyone that the prisoner butcher had stolen a Buddhist scripture from the temple and likely hidden it somewhere in the mine. Whoever found it would receive a martial art and 50 silver taels. The crowd went wild. Zhang Wei, Lin Guoyang, and the others were practically drooling. To them, this was a game quest with incredible rewards. Supervisor Wu organized the search with nearly 100 guards and constables supervising, plus a bounty of 100 taels for anyone who reported someone hiding the find. They were thorough. I pretended to search diligently while watching Huaining. When he headed into Tunnel 5, my heart jumped, but I calmed down. If he already knew the exact location, he wouldn't need this whole production. Zhang Hao must not have told him before Huaining killed him. That's right. Captain Lin quietly revealed to Wu that after Huaining spoke privately with the prisoner butcher, the man simply died. The authorities didn't push back. Nobody wanted to offend bitter Awakening Temple. Wu and Lin also discussed privately that the stolen item was definitely not just a scripture. It had to be a martial art, at least second-rate. Even Mountain River Sect only possessed 2 third-rate techniques. This was bigger than anyone was letting on. Then Zhang Wei sidled up to me during the search. He'd changed. When I glanced at his stats, I saw his job had switched from miner to martial artist, and he'd learned Zhang family leg technique, the same style the prisoner butcher used. Somehow he'd made contact with Zhang Hao before the man was caught and gotten the technique from him. He offered me a deal. He had a martial art to sell, and he wanted silver for it. He could only trade with me. Selling to an NPC would get him killed. I played it cool, acting surprised that he had anything worth trading, but my mind was already working. If he genuinely had a spare technique from Zhang Hao, it could be useful even though I already had Diamond Bright King technique. Multiple martial arts meant more stat boosts, just like Huaining with his 3 techniques. The search lasted 5 hours and turned up nothing. Huaining left with Captain Lin, but I could tell this wasn't over. That night, Supervisor Wu sealed Tunnel 1 and sent messengers to Mountain River Sect. He didn't want to get caught up in something this big. The next morning, the entire mine was shut down. No one could enter. Uncle Wang told me Tunnel 1 was specifically sealed off. My stomach tightened. That's where I buried Fifth Brother and his crew. The shutdown was probably related to the monk's visit, but the bodies being discovered was a real possibility too. Zhang Wei found me and pulled me aside. He said he dug up a martial art while mining, a technique called Crumbling Mountain Fist. He wanted 5 silver taels for it. He explained that martial arts in Divine Domain have stat requirements, and this one needed 8 strength. He only had 4, so he couldn't learn it himself. Then he revealed something interesting. He could now see his own attribute panel. He said it happened after he became a martial artist. He was being open about his stats, Strength 4, Agility 3, Spirit 1, though I noticed he was lying about his agility, which was actually 5. He assumed I couldn't see stats yet, and was trying to convince me that buying Crumbling Mountain Fist would unlock the ability. I figured out what had really happened. He must have gotten both Zhang family leg technique and Crumbling Mountain Fist from the prisoner butcher somehow. He'd already learned the leg technique, but couldn't meet the requirements for the fist art. Now he was desperate for money to buy an identity and leave the mine before anyone connected him to Zhang Hao. I agreed to the deal but insisted on seeing the goods first. He came to my shack at midnight with the book. I checked it. The system confirmed it was a real technique, though unranked, same tier as Wu's Black Tiger Fist. Low quality, but still useful. We traded, his book for my 5 taels. He left looking relieved. When I examined the requirements, I found something he'd deliberately hidden. Crumbling Mountain Fist needed not just 8 strength, but also 3 spirit. Zhang Wei's spirit was only 1. Even if he eventually raised his strength to 8, he'd never have been able to learn this technique himself. He tried to set me up, betting that my spirit would be too low and I'd waste 5 taels on something I couldn't use. Lucky for me, my spirit was 10. I absorbed it immediately. The book dissolved into light, and the knowledge of Crumbling Mountain Fist filled my mind. The details of Crumbling Mountain Fist appeared in my mind. It had 5 mastery stages, each multiplying its power. Initial understanding adds 3 strength, thorough comprehension adds 6, perfected adds 9, mastery adds 12, and transcendence adds 20. Now I understood the full progression system for combat techniques. I checked my stats. Diamond Bright King technique used experience points, while Crumbling Mountain Fist used proficiency, but both started needing 100 points to reach the first stage. I started practicing the fist technique immediately. It took about an hour per proficiency point, slower than I expected. But unlike Diamond Bright King technique, which capped at 5 points per day, the fist art had no daily limit. That meant I could grind it non-stop. The mine was still shut down, which was perfect timing. I spent 4 straight days doing nothing but training. I'd practice Crumbling Mountain Fist for hours, then switch to Diamond Bright King technique when I got tired. Practicing it for about an hour fully restored my energy, better than sleep. Then right back to the fist. By day 4, my proficiency hit 99 out of 100. One more hour of practice, and it broke through. I felt the change instantly. My punches carried noticeably more force, even making a sharper sound cutting through air. My stats updated. Base strength 11 plus 3 from the pickaxe plus 3 from Crumbling Mountain Fist, totaling 17. The technique had reached initial understanding. But then I saw the next milestone required 1,000 proficiency points. Quick math told me the ugly truth. Thorough comprehension would take about 50 days of non-stop training. Perfected would need 10,000 points, over a year. Mastery at 100,000 would take over a decade. Transcendence? Over a century. No wonder Wu and the other NPCs had only reached mastery level after what must have been decades of practice. Transcendence was essentially unreachable in a normal lifetime, unless there were ways to speed up the process. Knowing how games work, there had to be items or methods that boosted training speed. I just hadn't found them yet. Still, the short-term picture was good. In about 2 months, Crumbling Mountain Fist would reach thorough comprehension for 6 bonus strength. In 13 more days, Diamond Bright King Technique's first layer would complete, giving me 5 free attribute points plus 15 strength and 15 agility when activated, plus 100 extra health. Combined with my leveling advantage over NPC martial artists, they can't level up at all, while every level gives me a free stat point. I'd be extremely powerful for this area. But leveling still required mining, and I genuinely did love mining at this point. I grabbed my steel pickaxe and headed out the door. The mine stayed closed. Manager Nyo told the angry crowd that Mountain River Sect was sending someone important and nobody could enter until they arrived. Miners who hadn't saved any money were in trouble. Chen Su came to me again, desperate. His group hadn't eaten in a day. I gave them 6 flatbreads. Wu Ming complained they were too hard and tasteless, even while starving. Chen Su thanked me genuinely, but Lin Guoyang dismissed it, calling me just another NPC. I noticed Chen Su was starting to pull away from those two. He'd figured out the leveling system on his own, felt the warmth, noticed his strength increase. But when he tested whether Lin Guoyang and Wu Ming had experienced the same thing, they had nothing. They'd been slacking off while mining, so they hadn't earned enough experience. Chen Su decided not to tell them. Smart. With no mine access, I spent every waking hour training Crumbling Mountain Fist. After 4 days of non-stop grinding, I'd pushed it to initial understanding, 100 proficiency points. Each hour of practice gave me 1 point, and unlike Diamond Bright King technique, there was no daily cap. Then I spotted Zhang Wei walking out of Supervisor Wu's residence, beaming. He'd bought his official identity with the 5 taels I'd paid him. He was leaving for Green Mountain City. I confronted him about the Crumbling Mountain Fist requiring 3 spirit, something he'd conveniently forgotten to mention. He pretended it slipped his mind, clearly expecting the hidden requirement to have screwed me over. When I told him I already had 3 spirit and had learned it, he was genuinely shocked. He couldn't understand why my spirit was higher than his. But then we had a useful exchange. I asked about his training speed for martial techniques. He said it took him about 10 hours per proficiency point. I told him the same, lying, since my real speed was 1 point per hour, 10 times faster. That's when everything clicked. The difference was spirit. He had 1 point, I had 10. 10 times the spirit, 10 times the training speed. Spirit didn't just gate which techniques you could learn. It directly multiplied how fast you improved at them. This changed my entire strategy. If I invested points into spirit instead of just strength, my training speed for both techniques and internal arts would skyrocket. The long-term gains could be enormous. Zhang Wei also shared something he'd bribed out of a mine guard. A normal person with average talent needs about a year to reach initial understanding in a basic technique. We players were far faster. Even Zhang Wei at 1 spirit could do it in about 100 days. I'd done it in 5. If there truly was a direct link between spirit and speed, then raising my spirit was possibly more valuable than anything else. Zhang Wei left thinking we were equals in training speed. I was happy to let him believe that. Zhang Wei tried to leave the mine with his new identity, but couldn't. Mountain River Sect had sent a representative, a young man named Wang Jing, and he'd ordered that no miners could leave until further notice. Zhang Wei was stuck, visibly nervous about his connection to the prisoner butcher being discovered. Then a guard came for me. Supervisor Wu wanted to see me. My heart raced. They dug up fifth brother's bodies from Tunnel 1. All 5 corpses laid out at the entrance, rotting and stinking after days underground. I calculated my chances if things went bad. My strength was 14 at best with Crumbling Mountain Fist active, but I couldn't hold the pickaxe at the same time. Diamond Bright King technique wasn't complete yet. Against Wu's 24 activated strength, I'd be dead in seconds. But when I arrived, it wasn't just Wu. The monk Huining was there, along with Captain Lin and the Mountain River sect disciple Wang Jing. I checked Wang Jing's stats, Strength 19, Agility 10, Spirit 5, with 3 martial arts including Mountain River Drawing Blade at mastery level. Stronger than Wu, weaker than Huining. Wu asked me if I recognized the bodies. I put on a terrified face and said they were too decomposed to tell. He told me it was fifth brother. I acted shocked and stumbled backward. Huining and Wang Jing watched me carefully, then nodded to each other, apparently satisfied I wasn't involved. Wang Jing concluded the prisoner butcher must have killed these miners and hidden the scripture in Tunnel 1. He ordered a thorough excavation. Huining agreed to stay in the miners' village and wait for results rather than going back to the city. After they left, Wu's demeanor shifted back to his usual commanding self. He told me to join the search team in Tunnel 1, a group of about 50 experienced miners with guards watching them. This was perfect for me. I could mine, earn experience, and level up while pretending to search for a book that was already absorbed into my body. The mine was reopened. Hungry miners flooded in like wolves. Manager Nio's only instruction to our search team was simple: do your best. Uncle Wang and the veteran miners understood. Nobody actually expected us to find anything. We just needed to look busy, mine some crystal on the side, and collect our pay. I noticed something telling about Wu's reaction to fifth brother's death. Absolutely nothing. No grief, no anger. His own brother-in-law, and he couldn't have cared less. That told me everything about how relationships worked in this world. Usefulness over loyalty. Inside Tunnel 1, about 50 of us started digging. The veteran miners made quick progress through the ordinary rock and dirt, which was much softer than fire crystal. The guards assigned to watch us stayed near the entrance. They had no interest in going deeper where cave-ins could happen. They didn't even believe the scripture was really here. As one guard put it, not finding it was actually better for everyone than finding it. I went deeper alone, using my map to locate spots where large crystal deposits had appeared before. After some probing, I found a decent vein and got to work. The cold experience energy flowed in with every swing, pure bliss. Then someone appeared behind me, a young man in miner's clothes, maybe early 20s, watching me with curiosity. I didn't recognize him from the village. When I checked his stats, my stomach dropped. Su Qing, Mountain River Sect. Strength 22, Agility 17, Spirit 7. 3 martial arts, all at high levels. His total stats hit 46, higher than anyone I'd seen, including Huining from Bitter Awakening Temple. This was the real expert they'd sent to search for the scripture, disguised as a miner. He asked to tag along and learn mining from me. I agreed, but stayed cautious, keeping to shallower areas with him following. After a full day, I'd collected about 10 pounds of crystal. He seemed genuinely impressed by my stamina and speed, even calculating that I could earn 30 taels a month at this rate. I figured out he was just using me as cover while secretly searching the tunnels. He wasn't a threat to me specifically, so I kept focused on what mattered, mining. Near the end of the day, I found one more crystal vein and couldn't resist staying to mine it. And then it happened. Level 9. But this time, instead of putting the point into strength, I added it to spirit, bringing it to 11. Warmth flowed into my brain, and my mind felt sharper, clearer. If my theory was right, this would speed up all my martial arts training. As I was heading out, a thundering announcement echoed in my ears. Not just mine, but every player's across all of Divine Domain. A player had reached level 10 and completed a class advancement. The system was now opening a global level ranking board. The leaderboard showed only one name: Huiwu from Bitter Awakening Temple, level 10, class, Martial Monk. Nobody else had reached 10 yet. This player had gotten incredibly lucky, landing directly in a top-tier sect with access to resources, training, and guidance from day one. But the ranking also revealed something dangerous. Reaching level 10 first meant having your identity broadcast to every player in the world. I was glad it wasn't me up there. That kind of exposure could get you killed. But I'd been right about one thing. Level 10 was indeed the threshold for class advancement. I was only one level away. On the way out of the tunnel, Su Qing asked why I'd paused. I told him I was just tired. He bought it. He left the mine without turning in any crystals. Manager Niu didn't even ask. That confirmed he was special. Niu later assumed Su Qing's friendliness toward me was proof I was from some noble family. His misunderstanding kept working in my favor. I turned in 13 pounds of crystal for 1.3 taels of silver. Combined with what I had, I'd saved up enough to buy an identity again, even after spending 5 taels on Crumbling Mountain Fist. Back in my shack, I thought about the ranking board. The first player, Hua Wu, had advanced to Martial Monk, clearly a class provided by Bitter Awakening Temple. But I wasn't in any sect. What class could I even advance to? Minor? That probably didn't exist. Without a proper faction, advancement might not be possible at all. Zhang Wei came by to discuss the rankings. I told him I was level 6, lying by 3 levels. He seemed satisfied since he was almost level 4, thinking I was only slightly ahead. I wasn't about to reveal the truth. He left, and I went back to training. Every day followed the same pattern. Mine in Tunnel 1 during the day with Su Qing trailing me. Then practice Crumbling Mountain Fist and Diamond Bright King technique at night. 24 hours of grinding with barely any breaks. I tested my theory about spirit affecting training speed. With spirit now at 11, the improvement was tiny, barely noticeable. I'd need to add several more points before seeing a clear difference. But I was committed to the experiment. A few days later, my progress stood at Diamond Bright King Technique 60 out of 100, Crumbling Mountain Fist 87 out of 1000. About 8 more days until Diamond Bright King Technique hit its first layer. And I was on track to hit level 10 today. I checked the ranking board. 2 more names had appeared. Luo Kai from Stargazing Academy, level 10 class Scholar Apprentice, and Chi Kai from Death Valley, level 10 class Medical Apprentice. All 3 ranked players were in established factions that provided advancement paths. The board seemed to only show players who'd successfully advanced, meaning there could be many level 10 players stuck without a class, invisible on the list. Scholar, Medic, Monk. The variety of classes confirmed that Divine Domain's world was deep. But without joining a sect, I probably couldn't advance either. That was a problem for later. For now, leveling was still the priority. That morning, the atmosphere at the mine had shifted. Huaining and Wang Jing had left. The search was over. Zhang Wei announced he was finally leaving for Green Mountain City to find better opportunities and faster ways to earn experience. He scoffed at mining, calling it a dead-end job with no future. I watched him walk away. He wasn't wrong about the bigger world out there. But I wasn't done with the mine just yet. I confirmed Huaining and Wang Jing had really left, but I kept my guard up. Bitter Awakening Temple wouldn't give up on a first-rate technique forever. As long as I never revealed what I practiced, they'd never trace it to me. I slipped into Tunnel 2 and went deep, following my map to a natural cavern with signs of previous mining. I started probing for crystal veins. A few swings of the pickaxe could test a meter deep. Before long, I found one and got to work. Then the chimes sounded. Level 10. I put the point into spirit, bringing it to 12. And then a new notification appeared, something I'd never seen before. As one of the first 30 players to reach level 10, I was awarded a random treasure chest. A white, glowing box materialized in front of me, shimmering with light. Finally, something that actually felt like a game. But before I could open it, footsteps echoed behind me. Su Qing walked in carrying a torch. My blood ran cold. The chest was right there on the ground. If he saw it and got greedy, I was dead. His stats were nearly double mine. But he walked right past it. He couldn't see it. The chest was visible only to me. I played off my shock as being startled by a possible bandit. He laughed and said with my strength, any bandit who attacked me would be the one dying. Then he dropped his cover. He told me straight out he was from Mountain River Sect, ranked higher than Wang Jing. He'd been disguised as a miner to personally verify whether the stolen scripture was in our mine. His conclusion, it wasn't here. Bitter Awakening Temple had shifted their search to Green Mountain City. Then he made me an offer. Mountain River Sect was giving him a red gold mine, more valuable than fire crystal. He needed someone reliable and skilled to manage it. the same way Wu managed the fire crystal mine for Wang Jing. The position came with 100 taels monthly salary, and most importantly, he could teach me a martial art. If I performed well, I might even earn a spot as an outer disciple of the sect. I didn't hesitate. Red gold sounded like it could give even more experience than fire crystal. A new martial art, a real salary, and a path into a major sect. This was exactly the opportunity one needed. I bowed and pledged my loyalty. He told me the mine transfer would take some time, and he'd come back for me when it was ready. Until then, keep quiet about it. After he left, I listened carefully for his breathing to make sure he was really gone. Then I turned back to the glowing white chest sitting on the ground in front of me. What could be inside? The chest was the lowest rank, white, out of 7 tiers going up to diamond. I opened it and found a single pill inside. A spirit refinement pill that could instantly add 500 proficiency points to any combat technique. 500 points. That would have taken me over 20 days of non-stop training. I swallowed it and chose Crumbling Mountain Fist. Warmth hit me in waves, like cramming 20 days of practice into seconds. My proficiency jumped from 87 to 587 out of 1,000. One more pill like that, and I'd break through to the next stage. I wondered if pills like this could be bought somewhere. Major sects almost certainly had them. That explained how their disciples all reached mastery level. The question was whether the pills lost effectiveness with repeated use. I checked the ranking board. My name wasn't there. Just as I suspected, without completing a class advancement, you don't appear. The system had told me I was among the first 30 to reach level 10, which put me in the top tier globally. But other players were leveling fast too, presumably because they'd landed in sects with better resources. Over the next several days, I settled into a tight routine. Mine during the day, practice fist and internal arts at night. The spirit investment was paying off. With spirit at 12, my training speed had increased by roughly a fifth. Where I used to gain 5 proficiency points in 5 hours, I now got 6. Diamond Bright King Technique's daily experience cap also rose from 5 to 6. Spirit directly affected both training speed and daily limits. This confirmed everything. Pumping Spirit created a positive feedback loop. Faster training, faster leveling, more points to invest in Spirit. Then came the day I'd been waiting for. Diamond Bright King Technique hit 100 out of 100. Heat exploded through my body. Steam rose from my head. The first layer was complete. 5 free attribute points. I dumped all of them into Spirit, pushing it to 17. My vision sharpened. My mind felt crystal clear. Then I noticed something I'd misunderstood. The 100 extra health points weren't temporary, they were permanent. My health jumped from 110 to 210 without even activating the technique. For times what a normal person has. When I actually activated Diamond Bright King Technique, I'd get 15 more strength and 15 more agility on top of everything. My combat power had undergone a complete transformation. The second layer needed 1,000 experience points. With my boosted spirit, the daily cap was now higher, but it would still take a long time. Crumbling Mountain Fist sat at 786 out of 1,000, close to its next breakthrough too. I'd entered Divine Domain as a helpless vagrant who nearly starved to death. Now I was level 10, had a first-rate internal art, a combat technique, health quadruple that of a normal person, and an invitation to manage a mine for Mountain River Sect. Things were moving fast, but I knew the world above me was vast, and I was still just getting started. I tested my new power immediately. When I activated Diamond Bright King Technique, my strength shot to 26, agility to 20. Adding Crumbling Mountain Fist on top pushed strength to 29. I punched the stone floor. It shattered, leaving a fist-shaped hole an inch deep. But the catch was brutal. After about 1 minute, the technique shut off on its own. I was completely drained. Only 60 seconds of that incredible power. Still, 1 minute was enough for a real fight. 3 seconds was enough to kill someone if I struck first. The limitation was manageable for combat, just not for sustained mining. I checked the second layer details, now unlocked. 10 free attribute points, strength and agility boost doubled to 30 each, 200 extra permanent health, plus a special effect called Chi and Blood. I didn't know what that meant yet. Some kind of internal energy maybe. None of the martial artists I'd seen had it, probably because they were all stuck at the first layer of their internal arts too. This was a key insight. Even Su Qing and Huaining, with all their combat techniques at mastery level, had their internal arts at only the first layer. Internal arts were the bottleneck for everyone, and my high spirit stat meant I could push through that bottleneck faster than anyone. I ran the numbers. With spirit at 17, my daily experience cap for Diamond Bright King technique was 8 points. At 20 spirit, it would be 10. 100 days to reach layer 2, and that estimate would shrink as I kept leveling and adding spirit. The dream of reaching layer 4 within my lifetime was actually realistic now. Training speed for Crumbling Mountain Fist had jumped to 17 points per 10 hours. About 12 more days to reach Thorough Comprehension, which would boost its strength bonus from 3 to 6. Combined with Diamond Bright King technique, my burst strength would hit 32. I settled into my rhythm. Train martial arts in the evening, mine at night. On my way to the mine, Uncle Wong teased me about working too hard. Some miners joked about me becoming Wong's son-in-law since I was so diligent. At the mine entrance, I noticed Chin Su's group had grown. 5 newcomers had arrived, 4 of them looking terrified and exhausted. But the 5th was different, calm, composed, with a tough face. My enhanced hearing, boosted by my spirit increase, let me catch their conversation from dozens of meters away. He was a police officer, Officer Chen, part of a government rescue team. The authorities back in the real world had noticed the disappearances and were sending teams into Divine Domain to retrieve people. His entire squad had entered the game to find and rescue trapped players. That was encouraging news. But looking at how helpless his team already was, hungry, weak, dependent on Chin Su's group for food, I doubted the rescue would go well. The government didn't understand what this place really was. Sending more people in would just mean more people trapped. And since nobody could get back out, the real world would never receive that warning. Chin Su introduced me to the officer as a helpful local NPC. The officer seemed interested in making contact with me. I just nodded at Chin Su and headed into the mine without lingering. I had leveling to do. I hit a wall. After reaching level 10, no matter how much I mined, I couldn't level up. Days passed with 0 progress. I confirmed my fear. Without completing a class advancement, leveling was locked. This was a serious problem. I didn't know where or how to advance, and revealing my true strength to join a sect risked exposing Diamond Bright King technique, which would bring Bitter Awakening Temple down on my head. Since mining couldn't give me levels anymore, I shifted my entire schedule. I stopped going to the mine during the day and locked myself in my shack, spending 22 hours a day practicing Crumbling Mountain Fist. With spirit at 17, my proficiency climbed about 35 points daily. Within days, proficiency broke 1,000. Crumbling Mountain Fist reached Thorough Comprehension. Hot energy surged through me, and my punches became noticeably sharper. Every strike could channel my full body's power through my spine and into my fist. I activated Diamond Bright King technique and checked my full combat stats. Strength 32 with all bonuses active, Agility 20, Spirit 17, Health 210. Monstrous numbers. But this world had monsters too. Su Qing, Huaining, and others were still above me. And I lacked something critical, real combat experience. All my fights had been one-sided. I'd never faced someone truly equal. I compared myself against Supervisor Wu. His max strength was 24, agility 8, estimated health around 120. I outclassed him in every category. But he had decades of real fighting experience that I didn't. The next tier for Crumbling Mountain Fist, perfected, needed 10,000 proficiency. At my current rate, nearly 300 days without any spirit increases. I needed to advance my class and start leveling again to keep pushing spirit higher. I went to Wu's residence and paid 5 taels for an official Green Mountain City identity. He gave me a jade token with my name and details, but warned me I had to visit the city government office within a month to have my portrait drawn and filed, or the identity would expire. Then Wu mentioned the mining competition. It was almost time. He said he'd be passing through Green Mountain City on the way, and I should travel with him to handle my registration at the government office. As I packed, Fifth Brother's dying words echoed in my mind. Whatever this competition really was, it could be deadly. But with strength at 32, when fully powered up, I had to believe I was ready, or at least ready enough. I was packing my things when Chin Su came running, drenched in sweat. Lin Guoyang and his group had gotten into serious trouble. It was a mining claim dispute. Lin Guoyang and Wu Ming had tried to steal a crystal vein that other miners found first. They dragged 4 other new players into it. The established miners beat all 6 of them badly, and when Officer Chun tried to intervene, someone cracked him over the head with a pickaxe. Blood was pouring down his face. On the way there, I told Chen Su straight. Lin Guoyang's judgment was going to get people killed. He should cut ties. Chen Su agreed. Something had clearly already been building between them. I checked Chen Su's stats. Level 4, Strength 6. For how long he'd been here. That meant he'd been mining hard and not slacking off. Good instincts. At the scene, things were ugly. A crowd of miners had the 6 newcomers cornered. A wiry young guy named Ma Ho, apparently trying to fill Fifth Brother's old role as local bully, was waving a bloody pickaxe and rallying miners to dig a hole and bury them alive. Officer Chen sat on the ground with blood streaming through his fingers, trying to talk everyone down. The mine guards watched without intervening. If they stopped the crowd and caused a riot, they'd take the blame. Officer Chun was realizing for the first time that this world had no real law. People could casually talk about murder. And with confirmed reports that players' physical bodies were in the game, death here meant death for real. I walked through the crowd. People recognized me and made way. Uncle Wang warned me not to get involved since Lin Guoyang's group was clearly in the wrong. Ma Ho challenged me, asking who I thought I was. I pulled out a piece of silver, 1 whole tael, and offered it as compensation. 1 tael. That's 10 pounds of fire crystal worth of money. The miners who'd been wronged immediately calmed down. To them, this was a windfall far exceeding the value of the disputed crystal. The silver worked. Uncle Wang jumped in to back me up, telling the miners to accept and drop it. They took the money happily and went to split it with Manager Nyo. The crisis was defused. I went to check on Officer Chun. His head wound was bad, a thumb-sized gash still bleeding. His health was down to about 20 out of 60. I poured a bottle of healing medicine on it, and the bleeding stopped immediately. He was amazed at how effective it was. Then I felt the wind shift behind me. Ma Ho, the wiry guy trying to be the new 5th brother, had swung his pickaxe at my back. I caught it with one hand without turning around. He tried to pull it free, but couldn't budge it. I plucked it from his grip like taking a toy from a child. Every miner watching went silent. The guards exchanged serious looks. One muttered that Manager Nyo's theory about my background was probably correct. I grabbed Ma Ho by the neck and lifted him off the ground with one arm. No strain, no trembling. He kicked and clawed, but couldn't do anything. His face turned purple and his tongue started sticking out. Manager Nyo strolled over and casually suggested I not kill the man. Paperwork with Captain Lin would be such a hassle. I dropped Ma Ho. He collapsed, gasping, terrified. Neo settled things neatly. The mining dispute was resolved with my silver, and Ma Ho was fined 10 pounds of fire crystal for the sneak attack. Until he turned in that amount, he'd earn nothing. That would leave him hungry for a while. Fair enough. I told Chen Su and Officer Chun that the silver was a loan, not a gift. Chen Su nodded seriously and promised to repay it. Then I told them I'd probably be leaving the fire crystal mine soon, and they should follow the rules and stay out of the tunnels. Survival here wasn't hard if you weren't stupid about it. Lin Guoyang limped over with Wu Meng and asked me for medicine and money. I refused both. When he got angry and demanded to know why I was looking down on him, I slapped him across the face hard enough to knock him down. Wu Meng tried to kick me, so I slapped her too. She hit the ground dizzy. I called them idiots and walked away. Their greed and entitlement had nearly gotten Officer Chen killed and caused a crisis for everyone around them. I had zero patience left for people like that. Behind me, Chen Su ignored Lin Guoyang's screaming and quietly helped Officer Chen home to rest. He'd made his choice. Good for him. On the carriage to Green Mountain City, Supervisor Wu told me the mining competition was at another fire crystal mine about 80 miles away. He wouldn't explain the details, just said I'd find out when we got there. I checked the ranking board during the ride. 3 new names had appeared. A swordsman from Great Flame Sword Sect, a blade guard from Skyblade Gate, and a bandit from Ghost King Stronghold. 6 known classes now. The top 3 players had already pushed to level 13. I was stuck at 10 with no way to advance. We reached Green Mountain City in about 4 hours. I went straight to the government office with my Jade token and completed my registration in half an hour. I finally had an official identity. When I came out, Wu was chatting with Captain Lin outside the carriage. I hung back at a distance, but my enhanced hearing caught everything. Lin mentioned that Wu had paid him to arrange a constable position for Fifth Brother, and since Fifth Brother was dead, the spot was open but the money was non-refundable. That hit me like lightning. Constable. Could that be a class advancement path? The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I couldn't join a sect without exposing my martial arts. But becoming a constable was a civilian path. No sect needed, just money and connections. If the system recognized it as a valid profession, it might unlock my ability to level past 10. After Wu left the inn that evening, I tracked down Captain Lin's house and waited. When he appeared, I stepped out and pitched my case. I wanted to fill Fifth Brother's empty constable position. He was hostile at first, a former vagrant turned miner, wanting to be a constable. He called it delusional. But I played my card. I told him Su Qing from Mountain River Sect had personally recruited me to manage the sect's red gold mine. That changed his expression immediately. The red gold mine was Mountain River Sect's most profitable operation. He tested me by lunging at me suddenly. I blocked it effortlessly. His stats were similar to Wu's, nowhere near enough to threaten me. "So you're a martial artist," he said, his whole demeanor shifting to friendliness. I handed him 10 taels of silver. He waited, nodded with satisfaction, and told me I was now officially a constable of Green Mountain City. I just needed to come back after the mining competition to formalize things at the office. As I walked away, I could practically feel the class advancement waiting for me. 10 taels and a good connection. That's all it took to potentially solve my biggest problem. That night, I trained in my room while Wu was out. He didn't return until morning, then we immediately set off. On the road, Wu was surprisingly talkative. He explained that Mountain River Sect was a mining guild. Their business was mining. They ran 3 fire crystal mines and 1 red gold mine. The fire crystal we mined for 10 coins per tael was sold by the sect for 100 coins, sometimes 300 to 500 at the final destination. Massive profits. Those profits attracted mine bandits who stole resources and resold them. Wu said it was considered normal loss, too costly to prevent, too small to matter in the big picture. But then his tone shifted. He said our mine had a problem. 3,000 pounds of fire crystal were unaccounted for. An audit was coming soon, and that gap needed explaining. 3,000 pounds. That was over a month's entire output. Worth nearly 1,000 taels to the bandits. 3,000 taels in losses for the sect. This wasn't petty theft. This was organized corruption on a massive scale. The carriage stopped. Wu smiled and told me the truth. There was no mining competition. He brought me out here to frame me as the bandit leader and kill me. Outside the carriage, a group of masked men stood, over 20-some bodies. All miners, hands calloused from years of work. Among them I saw Uncle Wong, lying dead with his throat cut, blood still wet on the ground. These people had been executed just minutes ago. Wu explained his plan calmly. Manager Niu had convinced everyone I was a descendant of the Yang family from Hongkuan City, a plausible cover for a bandit leader. That mistaken identity became the perfect frame. Wu himself was the real thief. He'd been embezzling the mine's output the whole time, and he needed a scapegoat before the audit. The masked men were mine guards. I could see all their stats through the masks. Strength above 10 each. Wu even mentioned Su Qing, knowing we'd been close. He said framing me would also derail Su Qing's plans for the red gold mine. Apparently someone above Wu wanted that outcome too. This conspiracy went higher than just a corrupt supervisor. I told him Su Qing wouldn't let this slide. Wu laughed and said that was exactly the point. Then he activated Black Tiger Fist. His strength surged to 24, and he launched at me like a leopard. But I'd already scanned every person here. Wu's stats hadn't changed since I first checked him weeks ago. With Diamond Bright King technique, my strength could hit 32. His 24 against my 32. The math was in my favor. I activated Diamond Bright King technique. Strength 26, agility 20. Then Crumbling Mountain Fist, total strength 32. Wu's movements looked slow to me now, full of openings everywhere. I closed the distance in a flash. My fist hit his chest and caved it in several inches. He flew backward, coughing blood. Before he could speak, I was on him again, raining punches like a storm. Each blow carried the force of something beyond human. He recognized the technique through his fading consciousness. Diamond Bright King technique? He whispered. Too late for that to matter. I crushed his skull with a final punch. A massive surge of experience flowed into me. But no level up, confirming I was still locked at 10. The masked guards panicked. Some screamed about the Diamond Bright King technique. None of them tried to fight, they just ran. I chased them down one by one. My speed without any leg technique was already like wind. In under 30 seconds, all of them were dead. I stood among nearly 30 corpses, breathing hard, trying to think clearly. I searched the bodies. Wu had a hidden pocket with 8 bank notes, 100 taels each. 800 taels total. He must have sold the stolen crystal the night before. The guards had about 10 more taels in loose silver. I took everything. Then I assessed my situation. I couldn't explain killing Wu and his men without revealing Diamond Bright King technique, which would bring bitter Awakening Temple's wrath. But if I disappeared, I'd become a wanted fugitive, and I'd just registered my portrait at the government office. I worked through a plan. The mining competition was fake, but only Wu and I knew that. If Wu simply vanished right before the audit uncovered 3,000 pounds of missing crystal, everyone would assume he fled. Manager Neo had suspected corruption and could serve as a witness. Wu's backer inside Mountain River sect, whoever wanted to block Su Qing from getting the red gold mine, would lose their tool. Su Qing would benefit from Wu's disappearance and would want this buried quietly. I dug a massive pit with my pickaxe, buried all the bodies, and covered the evidence. The next day, I returned to Green Mountain City and went straight to the government office. Captain Lin greeted me cheerfully. His normal demeanor confirmed he wasn't part of Wu's scheme. I told him Wu had left suddenly for urgent business and told me to come back to the city. Lin didn't question it. He handed me the official constable appointment documents. The moment I touched the papers, golden text appeared before my eyes. Class advancement condition met. Direction, constable. Advance. I chose yes instantly. The system confirmed. Advancement complete. I received a special skill called Insight and 5 free attribute points as a reward. Then all the blocked experience from weeks of mining came flooding in at once. 3 consecutive level-up chimes. Level 11, 12, 13. 3 more free attribute points. I stared at my stats in disbelief. 8 unspent attribute points. Level 13, tied with the top 3 players on the global ranking. My class was Constable, a path nobody else had found yet. The accumulated experience from weeks of blocked leveling, plus the combat experience from Wu and his guards, poured in all at once. 3 levels in an instant, jumping me to 13. That put me tied with the top players on the global ranking. Captain Lin explained that all constables belonged to something called the Iron Coat Bureau. It was a national law enforcement organization under the 6 government ministries, with jurisdiction over everyone in the Zhao Kingdom, even the major sects like Mountain River Sect. The black list of wanted criminals? That was their creation. Lin himself was a rank 9 Iron Coat Constable, the lowest official rank. He told me not to let the badge go to my head. He just wanted his district peaceful so he could retire at rank 8. Regular constables like me were below even that. No rank at all. But there was a promotion path. The Bureau valued martial ability above all else. If your combat skills were strong enough and you had a superior's recommendation, they'd arrange a qualification exam. Pass it and you'd advance. Even mastering their standard techniques could catch the eye of higher-ups. He gave me 3 things: a red constable uniform, an official bureau saber that added 3 strength and had 20 attack power, and a training manual called Thief-Catching Blade Technique, standard issue for all constables. When I put on the uniform, Lin paused and stared. He said it looked like I was wearing a much higher ranks outfit. Something about my build and presence. Coming from a seasoned law officer, that felt good. He introduced me to the other constables at the station and assigned a veteran named Old Zhao to show me around. The others were clearly annoyed. Lin had told them I wouldn't need regular duty and would only come by occasionally. They saw me as a privileged outsider. I didn't care. I needed a quiet room, not friends. Old Zhao pointed me to the rest quarters. I went in, shut the door, and opened my attribute panel. 8 free points. All into spirit, bringing it to 25. The warmth flooding into my mind was intense. My vision sharpened to an almost supernatural degree. My hearing expanded dramatically. I could hear whispered conversations outside, and my brain automatically constructed images of what people were doing based on sound alone. With spirit at 25, my daily experience cap for Diamond Bright King technique would jump to about 12 or 13 points. That meant reaching the second layer in just 2 to 3 months instead of over a year. The second layer would give 10 more free attribute points, plus 30 strength and 30 agility when activated, plus 200 more permanent health. I'd also need to keep leveling through mining, advance Crumbling Mountain Fist, practice the new blade technique, and work toward becoming a ranked Ironcoat Constable. That last goal wasn't just for status. It would give me legal protection if Wu's death ever came to light. The path forward was clear: mine for levels, train for power, climb the Bureau's ranks. Everything fed into everything else. With spirit at 25, the changes to my senses were dramatic. Vision sharper than ever. Hearing so acute I could construct mental images from sounds alone. Reaction speed noticeably faster too. Spirit wasn't just for training speed. It was transforming my entire physical awareness. I started wondering what would happen at 100 or 200 points. Then I checked my new skill, Insight. The description was simple. I could see any bad deed a person committed within the last 3 days. Once per day. I tested it on old Zhao through the doorway. After staring at him for a couple seconds, the information appeared. Zhao Air picked up a tale of silver yesterday and didn't turn it in. Petty stuff, but the implications were enormous. As a constable, this skill could help me solve cases instantly and rack up achievements. Those achievements would fuel promotions through the Ironcoat Bureau's ranks. 9, 8, 7. This single ability could carry me up the ladder. Then reality hit. I checked the ranking board. There I was, 7th place. Ironcoat Bureau, Yang Ling, level 13, Constable. My name was now visible to every player in Divine Domain. The top 3 had already pushed to 14. Everyone at 13 was tied with me. A new name had appeared too. Wu Xiaoqing from Mountain River Sect, level 12, another player who'd gotten lucky with sect placement. The exposure worried me. Now every player knew that Constable was a valid class advancement path. It was easier than joining a sect, just money and connections. Soon others would copy my route. Whether they'd also get the insight skill, I didn't know. But I was still in the top 10 out of what might be 100,000 players by now. I needed to maintain that lead. I absorbed the thief-catching blade technique. Only 100 proficiency needed for the first stage, and it boosted agility instead of strength. Exactly what I was lacking. Better yet, at the perfected stage, it could be upgraded to a stronger version called Tiger-Catching Blade Technique, probably reserved for ranked Ironcoat Constables. My plan was set. Return to the Fire Crystal Mine, grind levels and train techniques. Wait for the audit that would expose Wu's embezzlement, and wait for Su Qing's return. Everything hinged on staying ahead. Meanwhile, across the world in Green Mountain City's River District, Zhang Wei had joined a street gang called the Snake Gang. He was kicking helpless dock workers into paying protection money. When he opened the ranking board and saw my name in 7th place, his face went dark with rage. My appearance on the ranking board sent ripples across Divine Domain. Players everywhere realized Constable was a valid advancement path, easier than joining a sect. Zhang Wei saw my name and went straight to the Green Mountain City government office, but got turned away. No introduction letter, no recommendation from Captain Lin, no available positions. He joined a street gang called the Snake Gang instead, beating up dock workers for protection money. That was his path. Back at the Fire Crystal Mine, Officer Chen spotted my name on the board and put it together. He asked Chen Su if it could be the same Yang Ling. Chen Su was skeptical. Why would a player hide his identity from other players? But Officer Chen saw the bigger picture immediately. If Constable was an advancement path, it could be the direction for all the rescue team members. Become constables, gain power in this world, and use that power to protect other trapped people. Chen Su reminded him they were still vagrants. No legal identity meant no chance at becoming constables. That reality check sobered them both. Lin Guoyang came crawling back with Wu Meng, apologizing and begging for food. Chen Su ignored him. Officer Chen told them to mine harder and feed themselves. When Lin Guoyang tried to guilt-trip Officer Chen using his real-world authority, Chen Su grudgingly pulled out 4 copper coins to shut him up. That's when I walked in. I plucked the coins right out of Chen Su's hand. This goes toward what you owe me. 996 coins left. Chen Su's face lit up, then froze when he saw my red constable uniform and the saber at my hip. I could see the gears turning in his head, connecting me to the 7th name on the ranking board. Officer Chen took a deep breath, barely containing his excitement. He'd been right. Lin Guoyang stammered, trying to figure out what was happening. I looked at him and said if he couldn't even feed his girlfriend, maybe he should save everyone the trouble and remove himself from Divine Domain permanently. Then I turned to Chun Su and Officer Chun. Let's talk privately. I walked through the mining village in my red constable uniform deliberately. Every miner stared. That was the point. When Mountain River Sect eventually discovered Wu's embezzlement and disappearance, my constable status would make them think twice before pointing fingers at me. Sects don't pick fights with the government's Iron Coat Bureau. In my shack, I sat down with Chun Su and Officer Chun, whose real name was Chun Guoqing, and told them the truth. I explained why I'd hidden my identity as a player, using Zhang Wei as an example of why trust had to be earned. They understood. I asked if they could see their attribute panels. They couldn't, confirming Zhang Wei had told the truth about needing to become a martial artist first. I shared the basics, levels, stats, martial arts, and how becoming a constable could be their advancement path too. The Iron Coat Bureau would provide a blade technique they could learn instantly through the game system. Chun Guoqing's eyes lit up. I'd already checked his stats, level 3, but his base attributes were excellent. Strength and agility both started at 5, which was actually better than my own initial stats in those areas. With the right guidance, he could become formidable. I told them to follow me and mine together. I'd teach them technique and take them into the tunnels where resources were richer. Manager Nyo stopped by, unsurprised by my constable uniform. In his mind, a Yang family scion becoming a city constable made perfect sense. He gave me permission to keep mining whenever I wasn't on duty. When he asked about Supervisor Wu, I gave him my prepared story. Wu left me halfway to the competition saying he had business, never came back, so I returned to the city alone. Nyo nodded thoughtfully and didn't press further. He probably suspected something, but he was smart enough not to dig. I changed back into mining clothes and took Chun Su and Chun Guoqing into Tunnel 3. I didn't hide our route. Openly going into the tunnels under my constable authority removed any suspicion. I showed them how to find veins efficiently and taught them proper technique. By evening, I'd collected about 10 pounds of crystal. More importantly, the experience kept flowing. Chun Su managed 3 taels of crystal, triple his usual daily output. Chun Guoqing matched him. Both were grinning ear to ear, feeling real hope for the first time since entering Divine Domain. If Su Qing came through with the red gold mine position, these two would make excellent people to have on my side. My days fell into a relentless rhythm. Practice thief-catching blade technique outside at night. The shack was too small for sword work. Train Diamond Bright King technique at dawn to replace sleep and gain 13 experience points per day. Then mine all day for leveling experience. Time was never enough. The blade technique progressed fast. With spirit at 26, my proficiency climbed about 2.5 points per hour. Within days it hit 100 and broke through to initial understanding, adding 3 agility. I also leveled up to 14, putting the point into spirit as always. I tested my full combat power during a rainy night, activated Diamond Bright King technique, drew the official saber, and practiced the blade technique. My movements were blindingly fast. Raindrops couldn't touch me. I locked onto a tree about a foot thick and slashed once. It split clean in 2. That was the difference weapons made. With bare fists at 32 strength, that tree would have taken 2 or 3 punches. The saber's 20 attack points made cutting power far superior. No wonder blade and sword techniques were harder to obtain than fist arts. I decided to prioritize the blade technique over crumbling mountain fist. Once it reached perfected level, it could upgrade to the stronger tiger-catching blade technique. Combined with Diamond Bright King technique's second layer, my combat power would be terrifying. Days passed. Chun Su and Chun Guoqing were making steady progress mining with me. New players kept arriving at the mine, but I ignored them all. Then the Mountain River Sect auditor arrived, a stern man in fine clothes named Li. He discovered the 3,000-pound shortfall and was furious. When he demanded to know where Wu was, Manager Nyo called me over. I repeated my story about Wu leaving me halfway through our trip and never returning. The auditor's eyes narrowed. He suspected Wu had stolen the crystals and wanted to take me back to Mountain River Sect for questioning. I'm afraid that won't be possible, I said calmly. I'm a constable of the Iron Coat Bureau. I have duties. He froze. Nyo confirmed it. The man's tone shifted immediately from threatening to polite. Nobody in a sect wants trouble with the Iron Coat Bureau. He asked what Wu did the night we stayed in the city. I mentioned Wu had gone out that evening and didn't return until dawn, a genuine detail that would help them trace the stolen crystal's buyer. I was giving them a trail that led away from me and toward Wu's actual fence in the city. The auditor, stewardly, pressed me about how I knew Wu was out all night. I told him I couldn't sleep because I was excited about becoming a constable, which was true enough. He seemed satisfied. Then Su Qing walked in, and everything changed. He took complete control of the situation. He revealed that Manager Niu had been his planted informant watching Wu for years. He'd suspected Wu of embezzlement and running mine bandits, but lacked proof, and Wu was protected by his senior disciple, Su Qing's rival within Mountain River sect. Now that Wu had fled before the audit, the evidence spoke for itself. Su Qing vouched for me directly, telling Steward Li that I was his person, and if Li had a problem with me, he had a problem with Su Qing. Li backed down instantly. He could read the political winds. The power struggle within the sect had already been decided in Su Qing's favor. He'd gotten the red gold mine, and with Niu now promoted to acting supervisor of the fire crystal mine, Su Qing effectively controlled both operations. Su Qing told Li to keep the embezzlement internal. Publicizing it would embarrass the sect. Li left immediately to report back. When Su Qing asked how I'd become a constable, I admitted I'd used his name with Captain Lin. He wasn't bothered. Having someone inside the Iron Coat Bureau actually benefited Mountain River sect. He was ready to leave for the red gold mine immediately. I asked to bring Chen Su and Chen Guoqing along. He agreed. On the carriage, Su Qing explained the real situation. His senior disciple had controlled the red gold mine for years, filling it with loyal people. Su Qing had won control through a deal with the sect leader, but it came with conditions. He'd pledged to increase monthly output from £3,000 to £3,500 within 3 months. If he failed, he'd lose the mine. The challenge was enormous. 10,000 miners, dozens of managers, most of them loyal to the senior disciple. Su Qing could only appoint one supervisor, me. Everyone else was potentially hostile. Red gold was far harder to mine than fire crystal. 10,000 workers producing only £3,000 monthly mint, each miner averaged barely a tenth of a tael per day. Chen Guoqing quickly calculated the numbers out loud, impressing Su Qing. He told me I'd chosen good helpers. The monthly salary was 100 taels, but what really mattered to me was whether red gold gave more experience than fire crystal. If it did, this position was worth more than any amount of silver. On the road to the red gold mine, we brainstormed solutions for the production target. I suggested equipping workers with steel pickaxes to boost output, but Su Qing said the cost was too high for all 10,000 miners, and some would slack off regardless. I proposed identifying the hardworking miners and giving tools only to them, while replacing lazy ones with fresh workers. Su Qing wasn't fully convinced, but agreed to play it by ear. Then the conversation turned to martial arts. Su Qing confirmed that thief-catching blade technique could upgrade to tiger-catching blade technique at the perfected stage, a technique on par with Mountain River sect's own drawing blade art. But the requirements were steep. Reach perfected level, become an 8th rank Iron Coat constable, and pass an additional exam. Su Qing laughed when I asked about 8th rank. He compared the Iron Coat Bureau to a top-tier sect. 9th rank constables were like outer disciples, common enough. But 8th rank was like becoming an inner disciple. Some people waited their whole lives without making that jump. I signaled Chen Guoqing to ask about the broader world of sects and factions. Su Qing was happy to talk. What he said was eye-opening. Mountain River sect was only 3rd rate. Above them were 2nd rate and 1st rate sects, and the gap between tiers was like an insect compared to an elephant. Sect ranking was determined by the quality of their internal arts. Mountain River sect had only a 3rd rate technique, so they could never climb higher, unless a higher grade technique literally fell into their lap and they could defend it. This explained something crucial. Bitter Awakening Temple probably didn't even know the stolen scripture was actually Diamond Bright King technique, a 1st rate internal art. If they'd known its true value, they never would have let a small-time criminal get away with it. They likely thought they'd just lost a Buddhist text. That meant the search might actually be over. I breathed a little easier. Su Qing fulfilled his promise and gave me a martial arts manual, Black Tiger Fist, the same unranked technique Wu had used. A few weeks ago this would have thrilled me. Now, with my schedule already packed between Diamond Bright King technique, Crumbling Mountain Fist, and Thief-Catching Blade Technique. I had no time for another low-tier art. But I thanked him enthusiastically and tucked it away. Su Qing kept talking for the entire journey, and we kept asking questions. What I learned reshaped my understanding of this world completely. The ranking board players? None of them were in first-rate sections. Bitter Awakening Temple and Great Flame Sword Sect were second-rate. Skyblade Gate, Death Valley, Ghost King Stronghold, and Mountain River Sect were all third-rate. The only first-rate organization on the board was the Iron Coat Bureau, my faction. I'd chosen the Constable path as a backup plan, thinking I was settling for less. Turns out I'd accidentally joined one of the most powerful organizations in the kingdom. The Zhao Kingdom had exactly 4 first-rate sects: Divine Sect in the east, Arhut Temple in the south, Nine Immortals Dao Palace in the west, and Extreme Flame Sword Manor in the north. Each ruled their region with authority, rivaling the royal court itself. Below them were numerous second-rate and third-rate sections. The Mining Guild alone had 27 third-rate sects like Mountain River Sect under it, and the whole guild answered to Arhut Temple. This also cleared up the mystery of Diamond Bright King technique. Bitter Awakening Temple was only second-rate, and their foundation technique was the second-rate Bitter Awakening Heart Sutra. Diamond Bright King technique was first-rate. It wasn't even theirs. They probably didn't know its true value. To them, they'd just lost a Buddhist scripture, not a technique that could elevate a sect's entire ranking. This meant the search was almost certainly over for good. Then Su Qing mentioned spirit refinement pills, Eslingbon. My ears perked up. He explained that major sects used them to rapidly advance their disciples' combat techniques. Young fighters in first-rate sects could reach mastery level in multiple techniques while still young, purely through pill consumption. The price, 500 taels per pill. Each pill provided 500 proficiency points. Only the royal court and the 4 first-rate sects could produce them. Everyone else had to buy. But Su Qing suggested I could try the Iron Coat Bureau. They had their own allocation, and with the right connections, I could purchase some. That was my path forward. Become an 8th-rank Iron Coat Constable, gain access to spirit refinement pills, and use my abnormally high spirit stat to train at speeds that would make even first-rate sect disciples envious. The combination of natural training speed plus pills could make me genuinely terrifying. I had 800 taels from Wu's bank notes. That was already enough for 1 pill with change left over. But I'd need many more. The Red Gold Mine supervisor position paying 100 taels monthly suddenly felt very important. Not for the salary, but for the connections and resources it could unlock. Su Qing also hinted that if we succeeded with the production target, he might be able to arrange Mountain River Sect membership for my team. Chen Su and Chen Guoqing's eyes lit up at that, though joining a third-rate sect wasn't my real ambition anymore. My eyes were on the Iron Coat Bureau's inner ranks. The Red Gold Mine was massive, far bigger than the Fire Crystal Mine. When we arrived, 12 managers were already lined up at the entrance, having been tipped off by scouts along the road. Su Qing's rival had eyes everywhere. Su Qing introduced me as the new supervisor, emphasizing my constable status. He framed it as bringing law enforcement to deal with the mine's bandit problem. The managers exchanged looks but kept their composure, greeting me politely. I could feel them sizing me up. Su Qing stayed a few days. I got a proper residence with separate rooms for Chen Su and Chen Guoqing, a huge upgrade from my leaky shack. I immediately started my routine: Diamond Bright King technique for 13 experience points per day, blade technique training all night, then surveying the mine during the day. My real purpose during the tours was scanning every miner for player attribute panels, cataloging who was a player and who wasn't. Head manager Fong Qingyang showed me around. The situation was worse than Su Qing had described. Monthly output had actually dropped to just 2,000 pounds, not 3,000. Surface deposits were drying up, and miners refused to enter the tunnels due to poisonous bugs, bandits, and collapses. Getting from 2,000 to 3,500 in 3 months seemed nearly impossible. Fong clearly thought so too. I caught the faint mockery in his eyes, though his words were diplomatic enough. He laid out the problems plainly. Force miners underground, and you'd risk a revolt of 10,000 workers who could overwhelm all the guards. But I was already thinking differently. Mine bugs and bandits weren't just obstacles. They were experience points. For players, the dangerous tunnels were actually the most valuable place to be. I just needed to recruit the right people. I asked Fong to show me the blacksmith shop, specifically the best tools available. He took me to a back storeroom, and that's where I found it. A red gold cranebeak pick, forged entirely from red gold. It glowed with faint white light. The stats made my heart race. White grade quality, the same tier as my treasure chest. Strength plus 10, attack power 40, and a special skill called Frenzied 10-Strike Combo. When I picked it up, power surged through me, pushing my base strength to 21 without any martial arts active. A graded weapon with a built-in skill. This was leagues beyond my steel pickaxe. If white-grade equipment was already this good, I couldn't imagine what higher tiers looked like. I could barely contain myself. I needed to get underground immediately and test this thing on some red gold ore, and see just how much experience it would give me. I claimed the red gold cranebeak pick and strapped it to my waist alongside my official saber, looking ridiculous, but I didn't care. Then I had Chun Su and Chun Guoqing each grab a steel cranebeak pick from the storeroom, each adding 5 strength points. I ordered all 103 remaining steel picks sent to my residence, plus the most detailed and current tunnel maps available. Manager Fong looked surprised, but didn't argue. I was the supervisor now, and these were mine property to allocate. My plan was straightforward. Identify the players among the miners, give them the good tools, and watch production soar. Players needed experience points to level up. They'd mine like their lives depended on it, because in this world, they literally did. I'd spotted over 100 players during my morning survey, most with decent stats showing they'd been working hard. Su Qing approved the approach. The managers snickered behind my back when they saw me heading into the tunnels personally, thinking I was naive enough to try boosting output through my own labor. They had no idea what I really was. Inside Tunnel 1, I found a vein of red gold or glowing with golden light. When I swung the cranebeak pick, sparks flew everywhere. The ore was nearly 10 times harder than fire crystal, but the experience energy that flowed into me was noticeably stronger, more per hit than fire crystal had ever given. Then I activated the pick's special skill, Frenzied 10-Strike Combo. My arms became a blur, 10 strikes in rapid succession, so fast the sounds nearly overlapped. A massive chunk of red gold broke free. The skill left me drained, but the huge burst of experience immediately restored my stamina. We stayed underground for a full day and night. Chun Su and Chun Guoqing had to rest regularly, but every time they looked over, I was still going. An unstoppable machine. They called me a monster, and they weren't wrong. I leveled up to 15. Spirit now at 27. I checked the rankings. The board had changed dramatically. Luo Kai from Stargazing Academy had overtaken Huawu for first place at level 17. 2 players from first-rate sects had appeared. Lin Sai from 9 Immortals Dao Palace and Jiang Tian AI from Extreme Flame Sword Manor, both at level 12. These people had access to the best resources in the world. Everyone on that board was grinding as hard as me. The competition was fierce, and falling behind meant missing out on future rewards. But with red gold or giving more experience than fire crystal and a legendary pick in my hands, I was exactly where I needed to be. I shared the ranking board changes with Chun Su and Chun Guoqing. They were shocked to see players from first-rate sects appearing. Chun Guoqing, Officer Chen, gave us an update from the real world. When the rescue teams were formed, over 300,000 people had already vanished, increasing by 10,000 daily. The government couldn't stop it. The game's advertisements were everywhere and couldn't be blocked. He feared reality was heading toward chaos. I told them to help me gather the players in the red gold mine. I'd spotted over 100 during my survey. We needed information, and we needed workers. After a full day underground, I'd mined about 10 pounds of red gold. The ore was 10 times harder than fire crystal, but the experience per hit was significantly richer. Chun Su and Chun Guoqing managed 3 or 4 tails each, impressive for their level with the new steel picks. Chun Guoqing ran the numbers. 100 players mining 3 tails daily, plus my 10 pounds made 40 pounds a day, or 1,200 pounds monthly. Add that to the existing 2,000, and we'd be close to the 3,500 target. Difficult, but not impossible. I was also counting on Diamond Bright King Techniques' second layer completing in about 2 months. The 10 free attribute points from that could go into strength for faster mining. Then Chun Su heard something in the dark. I listened. My spirit-enhanced senses picked up movement immediately. Not scorpions this time. Green eyes, dozens of them, then hundreds, filling the darkness. Mine rats, at least 1,000, fast, and probably venomous. We couldn't outrun them. They'd catch Chen Su and Chen Guoqing. I made a snap decision. There was a narrow turn in the tunnel ahead. I quickly widened it with my pick to create a choke point that only let about 10 rats through at a time. I took position at the gap with the crane beak pick in my left hand and the official saber in my right. Both weapons' strength bonuses stacked, the pick adding 10, the saber adding 3, giving me 24 base strength without even activating any techniques. With Diamond Bright King technique running, I'd hit 39. Chen Su and Chen Guoqing stood behind me with their steel picks, ready to catch anything that slipped past. The green eyes surged toward us. The rats came pouring through the choke point. I used the saber with thief-catching blade technique and sliced through 7 or 8 in seconds. Each kill sent cold experience rushing in, about the same as mining red gold ore. My stamina drained with each swing, but the experience instantly replenished it. I could fight indefinitely. An hour later, the last rat was dead. The tunnel floor was covered in bodies. Chen Su and Chen Guoqing had picked off stragglers that slipped past me, and both leveled up during the fight. I had them bag up the rat heads and carry them outside. When we dumped them in front of the other miners, the reaction was electric. Some recoiled in horror, others stared with burning anger. One man said his friend had been eaten alive by mine rats. Manager Fong hurried over, visibly surprised. I told him to clean up the mess and headed home to wash. That evening, I had Chen Su and Chen Guoqing gather all the players they could find. A young man named Wang Haodong came first, nervous and starstruck to meet someone from the ranking board. I asked him about the outside world. The news was grim. Divine Domain had become international front-page news. Cults had formed claiming they created the game. Governments had cracked down on them. Every country was sending special forces into the game to investigate. But as we knew, once you entered, you couldn't leave. Real-world society was destabilizing from the mass disappearances. When Wang Haodong entered, the numbers were already approaching hundreds of thousands and rising by 10,000 daily. I called all available players together. About 100 showed up, with some deliberately staying hidden. They stared at me with a mix of awe and desperation. I got straight to business. I told them mining gave experience and they needed to level up faster. I showed them my 10 pounds of red gold, and Chen Su and Chen Guoqing showed their 3 and 4 tails. Their jaws dropped. Most of them could barely manage 1 or 2 chen per day. I announced I was forming a mining strike team. Every member would receive a steel crane beak pick that boosted strength by 5 points. In exchange, they'd follow my orders without question, mine in the tunnels where resources were richer, work longer hours, and push harder. Anyone who disobeyed wouldn't just lose their pick. I'd make sure they couldn't work the mine at all. A few weeks ago, talk like that would have sparked outrage. But these people had been starving, struggling, and watching the ranking board climb without them. After a brief silence, the only question was, where do we pick up the tools? When the players gripped their new steel crane beak picks and felt 5 extra strength points surge through them, the excitement was electric. Wang Haodong couldn't believe it. Everyone was calculating how much faster they could mine now, how much quicker they'd level up. I shared what I knew about attribute panels, that they existed, showed stats and martial arts progress, but you could only see yours after becoming a martial artist. A sharp young man named Li Tianai spoke up. He'd researched becoming a martial artist and knew it required joining a sect, which was nearly impossible for vagrants like us. But he immediately saw the solution. If we leveled fast enough and our strength kept growing unnaturally, the sects themselves would come recruiting. Our player advantages would be obvious to anyone paying attention. I checked Li Tianai's stats. Level 4, but all 3 base attributes started at 5, the best starting spread I'd ever seen on a player, with spirit notably above average. A real talent. I led the whole group toward the mine. Near the entrance, I spotted Su Qing talking with an older young man. When I scanned the stranger's stats, my stomach tightened. Yang Jiwen, Mountain River Sect. Strength 32, Agility 25, Spirit 10. 3 martial arts with the sect's internal technique at thorough comprehension, 1 tier above Su Qing's. This was the senior disciple, and every one of his stats exceeded mine. Su Qing introduced him as his senior brother, claiming he was just passing through to share management advice. Yang Jiwen looked me over and asked about the day Wu disappeared. The question felt pointed. Maybe he wasn't here for Su Qing at all, but for me. Su Qing cut in and told me to take my people underground. I left without answering Yang Jiwen's question. Behind me, I heard the confrontation get ugly. Yang Jiwen dropped all pretense and told Su Qing directly. The red gold mine was too valuable for him to hold. In 3 months, it would return to Yang Jiwen's control. And during those 3 months, he'd make sure production couldn't even hit 2,500 pounds, let alone 3,500. The managers standing behind Fong Qingyang smiled. They were all Yang Jiwen's people. The deck was completely stacked against us. But Yang Jiwen didn't know about my 100 players with boosted picks, all desperately hungry for experience points. He didn't know about Diamond Bright King technique approaching its second layer. And he certainly didn't know that every one of those players would mine like their lives depended on it, because in Divine Domain, they literally did. I let 100 players into Tunnel 1, and every single one of them started mining like they'd been reborn. The steel picks changed everything. Their strength nearly doubled, and inside the tunnels, red gold veins were everywhere. Large deposits in every branching path, enough that 100 miners wouldn't run out anytime soon. Li Ti and I barely tapped a vein and chips fell off. The other players found their rhythm fast. Every swing brought experience, and every surge of experience made them hungrier for more. They watched me work. The cranebeak pick was a blur in my hands, carving through rock that would take normal miners all day. When I activated the frenzied 10-strike skill, the impacts overlapped into a single roar of breaking stone. I didn't stop, not for food, not for rest. The experience energy replaced my fatigue faster than it built up. We stayed underground for over a day straight. The players mined in shifts, sleeping on the tunnel floor when exhausted. Every time they woke up, they saw me still going. Wang Haodong started calling me a grinding god. When I finally called everyone together to tally up, the results exceeded my expectations. Most players had mined at least 1 to 3 taels each. The total from all 100 players was about 20 pounds. My personal haul was another 12 pounds over 2 days. 30 plus pounds in one run. Quick math, 100 players averaging 2 taels daily meant 20 pounds. Plus my 10. That's 30 pounds a day, 900 a month. If the regular 10,000 miners could maintain at least 2,600 pounds monthly, we'd hit the 3,500 target. I gave everyone 6 hours to wash and rest, then told them to reassemble at the tunnel entrance. I'd use that time for Diamond Bright King technique training. Keeping the daily experience cap maxed was non-negotiable. Blade practice would have to be compressed. When we emerged, the regular miners were watching closely. They'd noticed nobody from our group had died or been injured. Curiosity was replacing fear. At the way station, I dropped 2 bags on Manager Fong's scale. 22 pounds, my personal total from 2 days. He assumed it was the group's combined output and made a sly comment about how 100 miners working over a day had managed 22 pounds. I corrected him flatly. That was mine alone. The others hadn't turned theirs in yet. The smile froze on his face. My 22 pounds of personal output stunned everyone. Manager Fong's forced smile crumbled as he weighed bag after bag from my players. 3 taels, 5 taels, 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds from Li Ti and I. The total from the group was over 35 pounds. Combined with my haul, we'd produced nearly 60 pounds in just over a day. The regular miners couldn't understand how. Some figured out the steel picks were the difference, but that alone didn't explain the output. What they couldn't see was the experience energy keeping my players going longer and harder than any normal worker. Fong and the other managers panicked privately. They floated a theory to the miners. I must have smuggled the red gold in beforehand to fake the numbers and trick people into entering dangerous tunnels. Some miners bought it and hesitated, but others pointed out the copper coins we'd been paid were real money, not tricks. Enough of them decided to judge for themselves by joining the next run. On the second trip, my player squad showed up in full, plus several dozen regular miners wanting to see the truth. Inside the tunnel, they watched me use frenzied 10-strike combo at close range. The pick became a blur, chunks of red gold flying off the wall. Their jaws dropped. This wasn't fakery. One miner realized I'd positioned myself deeper than everyone else, meaning any bugs or bandits would hit me first. I was protecting them while mining. Respect started building. These miners had never seen a supervisor do the same dirty, exhausting work alongside them. That meant more than any speech I could give. I also noticed 3 hidden players in the crowd, all level 10, stuck at the advancement barrier. They'd been in the mine before I arrived, and had clearly found efficient ways to level up. They were watching me carefully, debating whether to reveal themselves. I'd been tracking them since day one. Whatever techniques they developed to reach level 10 so quickly, I wanted to know. The manager's sabotage attempts were failing. Every trip underground proved the output was real, and more regular miners were volunteering each time. The momentum was building. Fong and his allies would need a new strategy soon, but by then, I planned to be too far ahead for them to catch. The pattern held. On the second full run, I mined 13 pounds personally. The players kept improving. Chen Su and Chun Guoqing hit 4 tails each. Li Ti and I reached 5. But the real breakthrough was the regular miners who'd joined us. Even with their basic tools, mining inside the tunnel where veins were larger cut out all the wasted time searching on the surface. One miner pulled 3 qian, triple his usual daily output. Another got 4. The watching miner's eyes grew brighter with every number manager Fong called out. He was sweating, trying to keep his composure as the total climbed to 27 pounds for just one day. His plan to discredit me by claiming I'd smuggled or was falling apart. The regular miners had seen everything with their own eyes. I shared the production challenge with my inner circle. When Li Ti and I and the other players heard that failing the quota would cost me the supervisor position, their determination hardened. Without me, they'd lose their equipment, their tunnel access, and their best path to leveling up. Su Qing was about to leave for Mountain River Sect, planning to negotiate a lower target. I stopped him. I showed him the numbers, 27 pounds in one day from just over 100 miners. My player squad would average 3 tails per person within 2 months as they leveled up. That alone would add over 1,000 pounds monthly. Combined with the existing 2,000 pounds from regular operations, we'd hit 3,500. He did the math on the spot, and his eyes lit up. For the first time, he genuinely believed it was possible. He clapped my shoulder and said he'd known I was the right person from the start. Instead of negotiating down, he'd returned to the sect to keep Yang Zhiwen in check while I handled the mine. After he left, I went straight to my routine. Wash, train Diamond Bright King technique for the daily cap, practice blade technique, then back to the tunnels. Every hour mattered. The production battle was just beginning, but the momentum was ours. 6 hours later, I arrived at Tunnel 1 to find it lit up like a festival. 400 or 500 miners stood waiting with torches. The word had spread. Mining with the supervisor was safe and profitable. They followed me underground without hesitation. Manager Fong watched from a distance, his face dark. I overheard him mention to another manager that Yang Jiwen had given him one final method to shut everything down, something that would make miners never want to enter the tunnels again. He wouldn't say what it was. Underground, the new miners saw my speed firsthand and finally believed. The tunnel was enormous. 500 people barely filled it, and every branch had red gold veins large enough to keep someone busy for days. But I noticed something troubling. One miner in his 20s slipped away from the group into a deeper passage. I tracked his movements through my enhanced hearing. He stopped somewhere, opened a box, placed something glowing on the ground, a red gold mineral spirit, then returned to his mining spot. Minutes later, I sensed movement from that direction. Something was gathering around the bait. He was one of Fong's people. They were luring mine bugs deeper into the tunnels, creating the very danger they claimed made mining impossible. This was the sabotage. I kept mining and leveled up to 16. Spirit now at 28. The experience from Red Gold was excellent. 2.5 days of mining per level. Then I checked the ranking board, and my blood went cold. Everything had changed. Lin Sai from 9 Immortals Dao Palace had rocketed to first place at level 19. Jiang Tian AI was second at 18. 3 new names had appeared, players from the 4 great first-rate sects, dominating the top 4 spots. The resources of those sects were clearly overwhelming. But the worst part, Luo Kai was gone. The player who'd held first place at level 17 from Stargazing Academy completely vanished from the board. The only explanation was death. The number 1 ranked player in all of Divine Domain had been killed. Before I could process that, Chen Su came sprinting toward me, face white with terror. Mind bugs. There are mind bugs coming. Fong's final method. They'd used the mineral spirit to draw a swarm straight to us, with 500 miners trapped underground. Chaos erupted in the tunnels. Black shapes were flying at miners from every direction, giant mantis-like bugs called red gold mantises, fist-sized with razor-sharp forelegs and venomous fangs. Miners screamed and ran. Some got bitten on the neck and dropped dead instantly. The bugs swarmed the corpses and stripped them to bone in seconds. By the time everyone gathered in a large central chamber, we'd lost 10 miners and 1 player. The bugs were appearing from multiple tunnel branches simultaneously, cutting off every escape route. I sliced through every mantis that appeared near us. My speed with the saber made them easy targets individually, but an old miner raised the critical question. Red gold mantises normally live deep underground, far below where we were mining. They shouldn't be here at all. Then it clicked. Chinsu had seen someone earlier, a young miner who'd wandered off alone into a deeper passage. I spotted the man trying to hide in the crowd. I used insight on him. The information appeared instantly. Wang Er today hid a red gold mineral spirit to attract red gold mantises, then used pig's blood as bait to lead the mantises toward miners, causing 10 deaths. So that was Fong's final method. Plant a mineral spirit to draw in the bugs, then spread pig blood through the tunnels to redirect them toward our miners. The old miner confirmed it made sense. Mineral spirits attracted the mantises, and blood scent drove them into a frenzy. I confronted Wang Er in front of everyone. I told him exactly what he'd done. The mineral spirit, the pig blood, everything, as if I'd watched him do it. His face went white. He couldn't understand how I knew. I reminded him I was an Iron Coat Bureau constable. He could confess now or face interrogation at the government office. With hundreds of furious miners gripping their picks and staring at him, he broke immediately. It was Manager Fong. Fong Qingyang ordered me to do it. I didn't know people would die. The tunnel fell silent. Then the anger started building. Those 10 dead miners. That was murder, orchestrated by the very people supposed to manage this mine. I calmed everyone down and said we'd deal with Fong through proper legal channels. I was a constable, and this was the Zhao Kingdom with real laws. No mob justice. First, we had to survive. I did what worked before. Carved up the tunnel entrances with my pick, blocking all passages except one, narrowed to fist size. The miners and players watched in amazement as I shaped stone like clay. For bait, I needed blood. Wang Er had used all his pig blood, so I drew some of his instead. He didn't get a vote. I spread it near the opening and waited. The red gold mantises came one by one through the gap. Each one met my blade or pick instantly. The experience per kill was better than mining, and something felt off about the accumulation. I'd just leveled up from mining, but after killing roughly 1,000 mantises, I leveled again to 17. Combat experience seemed to have some kind of multiplier. I let Chen Su, Chen Guoqing, and Li Tianai handle some that slipped through for practice. They were clumsy at first, but improved quickly. The other players watched enviously but stayed back as instructed. My saber's durability ran out mid-fight. The blade shattered from overuse. I switched to the crane beak pick and kept going without missing a beat. The 3 hidden level. 10 players were watching everything closely. I could tell from their behavior they were professional gold farmers like me. They recognized the monster funneling technique immediately. After 2 hours, the mantises stopped coming. I drew more blood from Wang Er and waited. Only a trickle appeared. The swarm was finished. I put the point into spirit, now 29. One more level, and I'd hit 30, likely a significant threshold. I told everyone to wait while I went deeper to recover the mineral spirit as evidence against Fong. When I found it, the mantises around it were all dead. But behind the glowing mineral spirit sat something unexpected, a pulsing mass of flesh wrapped in blood vessels, breathing slowly. The system identified it. Great Mother Red Gold Mantis Egg. Unclaimed. Option to bind his owner. A pet system. This world had tamed creatures. I thought it over briefly, then bound it. Whatever hatched from this egg would be mine. Deep in the tunnel, behind where the mineral spirit sat, I found something extraordinary. A pulsing egg wrapped in blood vessels, breathing slowly. The system identified it as a Great Mother Red Gold Mantis Egg. Unclaimed, available for binding. I bound it. The egg hatched instantly. A tiny mantis emerged, ate its own shell, and hopped into my palm. Unlike the black combat mantises, This one was pure white and crystalline, like a gemstone. I named her Little White. Her stats were impressive for a newborn. Strength 5, Agility 10, Spirit 2. She had a level, meaning she could grow. And she had a special skill, gold seeking. When I tested it, she flew deep into the tunnel and hovered over a spot. I dug down and found a massive red gold vein. I had her locate dozens more, marking each on my map. My attribute panel now showed a secondary class, Beast Tamer. The ranking board only displayed my primary class, Constable, keeping the pet system hidden. I'd climbed to 5th place at level 17. I tucked Little White into my collar and headed back with the mineral spirit as evidence. When we emerged, I confronted Fong publicly. 400 miners stood behind me in silence, staring at him. Wang Er stood at my side with his head down. I announced everything. Fong had ordered Wang Er to plant the mineral spirit, lure the mantises with pig blood, and deliberately create a catastrophic mining disaster. 10 miners were dead because of him. Fong denied it. He said I was framing him, that he'd just resign if I didn't want him around. I reminded him I was an Iron Coat Bureau constable. Resignation wasn't an option. When he invoked Yang Jiwen's name as protection, I asked if Yang Jiwen was planning to rebel against the government. That shut him up fast. I turned to the other 11 managers and asked if they were involved. They fell over themselves denying it. Then I moved. Before Fong could react, I was in front of him. He tried to fight back. He was a martial artist after all, but against my stats, it was nothing. I broke both his arms and both his legs by hand. The snapping sounds echoed across the mine. He collapsed screaming. The managers went pale. They'd known Fong was a fighter. Watching him get dismantled in seconds told them everything they needed to know about what would happen if they caused trouble while I was gone. I told them to keep things running while I took Fong and Wang Er to the Green Mountain City government office. If anything went wrong while I was away, they'd end up the same way. I delivered Fong and Wang Er to Captain Lin in Green Mountain City. He reviewed the evidence and witness testimonies, then sent them straight to prison. 10 dead miners meant execution. They'd never see daylight again. But Lin had bigger news. The Iron Coat Bureau had been investigating Wu's stolen fire crystal, and the trail led somewhere terrifying. Wu had been selling to the Rong tribe in the north, the Zhao Kingdom's sworn enemy for nearly a century. This wasn't just theft. It was treason. A senior bureau official was arriving tomorrow to investigate. Lin wanted me to stay and meet them since I was connected to the case through Wu. My mind raced. Was it just Wu acting alone, or was Yang Jiwen involved in the treason too? Either way, Lin assured me Mountain River Sect wouldn't suffer as long as they weren't knowingly involved. I relaxed slightly. I sent the witness miners back to the Red Gold Mine with a message for Chun Su to pause operations until I returned. That night, I trained in the empty quarters, Diamond Bright King technique, and blade practice as usual. The next morning, I went out for breakfast. A massive man blocked my path and called my name. I checked his stats while biting into a steamed bun. Wu Man Strength 31, Agility 12, Spirit 7. 3 martial arts including Crumbling Mountain Fist at Mastery level and an internal art called Mixed Iron Technique at Thorough Comprehension. From a sect called Giant Spirit Gate. He demanded I come with him or die. Old Zhao from the constable station happened to walk by. I used his appearance to establish witnesses, yelled that Wu's accomplice had appeared, and told Zhao to alert Captain Lin. The moment Zhao was clear, I struck first. Diamond Bright King technique activated. Strength 36 with the crane beak pick. I used Frenzied 10 strike, all 10 hits landing on the same spot on his body. He activated Mixed Iron technique in response. His skin turned hard as metal. My pick hitting him rang like striking iron. But 10 concentrated blows still punched a deep hole through his defense. When he powered up fully, his strength hit 47 through stack techniques. Crumbling Mountain Fist at Mastery, adding 12 points on top of everything else. His punches felt like a mountain collapsing. His defense was incredible. We were deadlocked. I was faster, he was tougher. Neither could finish the other quickly. Then he snarled, "My brother died at your hands. Tell me where his body is." Wu's brother. That's who this was. I couldn't let him live. He knew too much. If he talked, too many threads would unravel. Wu's death, the bodies, everything. I whispered to Little White hiding in my collar. Blind him. Wu Man was a monster. When a startled horse charged toward us, he punched its head and shattered it in one blow. His power at 47 strength was terrifying. One clean hit would probably kill me even with 210 health. But I had speed. My agility advantage let me dodge everything he threw. His crumbling mountain fist at mastery level created an illusion of a mountain collapsing behind each punch, some kind of martial pressure effect. Strangely, it didn't affect me at all. I suspected my spirit at 29 was too high for it to work on me. He was burning through his internal energy fast with mixed iron technique, keeping his skin like metal. I just had to wait. In the crowd, I spotted Zhang Wei watching, and fresh players who just entered Divine Domain were gawking at the fight, excited about seeing real martial artists, already planning to find teachers. They had no idea what was coming for them. When Wu Man started slowing down, I struck. I called Little White. A flash of white, and Wu Man screamed. His eye sockets were empty, blood pouring down his face. Little White had gouged out both eyes in a single pass. While he flailed blindly, I closed in with the cranebeak pick. 3 rounds of frenzied 10-strike, all aimed at his hollow eye sockets. He collapsed. Brain matter oozed out. The kill sent a massive wave of experience into me, equivalent to 2 or 3 days of mining. I leveled up to 18. Spirit hit 30, breaking the single attribute threshold. Captain Lin arrived moments later with the full constable force. When he saw the body and I explained the man had identified himself as Wu's brother from Giant Spirit Gate, Lin's eyes lit up. Giant Spirit Gate was a martial sect of the Rong tribe, the Zhao Kingdom's enemy. This meant Wu wasn't a traitor who sold to foreigners. Wu himself was a foreign spy all along. Catching an enemy spy on Lin's turf was an enormous achievement. He told me the senior Iron Coat Bureau official arriving today would likely commend us both. Lin might get promoted to a bureau headquarters position, and if that happened, he'd recommend me to take over as head constable of Green Mountain City, provided I could reach 9th rank Iron Coat status first. Then the senior official arrived. A middle-aged man with graying temples wearing a gray uniform woven with iron thread patterns. I checked his stats: Sure Xin, Strength 43, Agility 28, Spirit 13. He practiced tiger-catching blade technique at mastery level and Iron Coat heart technique at thorough comprehension. This was the real deal, an Iron Coat Bureau official with power that dwarfed anyone I'd met outside the first-rate sections. Bureau official Sure Xin arrived and immediately put pressure on Captain Lin, threatening to send him to the execution ground alongside Wu for failing to detect a traitor in his jurisdiction. Lin quickly played our card. Wu wasn't a traitor, he was a foreign spy all along, and we'd killed his brother to prove it. Sure Xin examined Wu Man's body carefully. He noted that Wu Man was a registered 9th rank martial artist with real combat ability. When he turned to me and asked how I'd killed someone whose iron technique made him nearly impervious to blades, I kept my answer simple. I'd found an opening and drove my pick through his eyes. No mention of Little White, no mention of Diamond Bright King technique. He asked me to demonstrate thief-catching blade technique. I performed it without activating any internal arts, just the saber's 3 strength bonus and the technique's 3 agility bonus. Even restrained, the display impressed him. He was surprised I'd reached initial understanding in only 10 days. Then he said something that changed my trajectory. With my skill level and the achievement of killing Wu Man, I qualified for 9th rank Iron Coat Constable. But I saw an opportunity. The kill credit for a registered 9th rank martial artist would trigger an investigation if attributed to a new recruit. So I bowed and said Wu Man had clearly died at official Sure Xion's hands. I wouldn't dare claim such credit. He went silent for several seconds. Then he smiled. He needed that credit too. It could help him reach 7th rank. We understood each other perfectly. In exchange, he fast-tracked my promotion, skipping the normal examination process entirely. He handed me a 9th rank Iron Coat uniform, actual iron-threaded fabric that could deflect ordinary weapons, and a superior official saber. The system confirmed, Constable class upgraded. Insight skill now usable twice daily instead of once. I knelt and swore my loyalty. Sure Xion laughed approvingly. Captain Lin stood there realizing it had taken him 7 or 8 years to reach the rank I'd just achieved in weeks. From vagrant miner to 9th rank Iron Coat Constable. Every step had been calculated, every opportunity seized. And I was still climbing. The new gear was incredible. The 9th rank Iron Coat uniform added 100 health points, pushing me to 310. The upgraded saber gave 5 strength and 25 attack power, a massive improvement over the basic constable equipment. Sure Xin explained the martial world's ranking system over T. All countries classified martial artists from 9th rank to 1st rank. To qualify for even 9th rank, you needed at least 1 internal art, any grade, even unranked. Pure combat technique users couldn't be ranked at all. The Zhao Kingdom had approximately 350,000 registered martial artists, though the real number was higher since many avoided registration, including fighters from the 4 great sects. I processed what this meant for players. We had advantages NPCs didn't. Class advancement with exclusive skills, proficiency-based training speed, and leveling with free attribute points. My personal edge was even greater, free points I could assign anywhere, while other players could only gain specific stats through specific training. Then old Zhao dragged in 2 suspicious men caught lurking near the government office. I used insight on both. The first, Lin Mu, had been smuggling illegal fire crystal out of the city 2 days ago, almost certainly connected to Wu's spy network. The second, Zhang San, had murdered a city guard soldier yesterday and hidden the body at home. I didn't reveal insight directly. Instead, I sniffed Lin Mu's clothes and pointed out fire crystal residue on his sleeve, a detail my enhanced senses genuinely detected. Sure Xin verified it, and was delighted. For Zhang San, I noted the faint blood smell on him. He panicked and tried to claim he'd just gutted a fish, but his terror betrayed him. Sure Xin and Lin both saw through it immediately. Sure Xin was genuinely impressed now. He stood in front of me and made a promise. If I raised my thief-catching blade technique to perfected level, he would personally sponsor me for the 8th rank Iron Coat Constable examination. 8th rank, Inner Disciple equivalent. Access to Tiger-catching blade technique and Iron Coat heart technique. A path to real power within a first-rate organization. All I needed was time and training. And with the Red Gold Mines experience flowing in, spirit climbing higher every level, and spirit refinement pills potentially within reach, that timeline was shrinking fast. I stayed in Green Mountain City for several days while Sure Xin dismantled Wu's spy network. Using Lin Mu and Zhang San as starting threads, they pulled out nearly 100 people, merchants, smugglers, even some city guards. Sure Xin was beaming. I used every free moment to train. With Spirit at 30, my daily Diamond Bright King technique cap had reached 15 experience points. The rest of my time went to blade practice, where proficiency climbed 60 to 70 points daily. In just 4 days, thief-catching blade technique hit 502 out of 1,000. The other constables noticed I never stopped training, day or night. They always found me swinging the saber. Old Zhao told Sure Xin about it. Sure Xin called it the character of someone obsessed, and said obsession was the key to mastering anything. On his last day, Sure Xin tested me by attacking without warning. I reacted on instinct, but he had me in 8 moves with his blade at my throat. His 28 agility and mastery-level tiger-catching blade technique were leagues above me, but he was pleased with my progress. Then came the real gift. Sure Xin said the Bureau would reward him 5 spirit refinement pills for this case, but his techniques were already at mastery level, making the pills less useful to him. He handed me the entire bottle, all 5 pills. 5 pills. 2,500 proficiency points, worth 3,000 taels on the black market. Lin and the other constables nearly choked. I accepted with deep gratitude and bowed. Back at the Red Gold Mine, the news was excellent. Fong's arrest had terrified the remaining 11 managers into compliance. Daily output had jumped from 60 or 70 pounds to over 100. With my mining team added back in, the 3,500-pound monthly target wasn't just achievable. We'd likely exceed it. I immediately used 1 spirit refinement pill on thief-catching blade technique. Proficiency rocketed from 502 to 1,000. The breakthrough to thorough comprehension hit me like a flood of memories, a phantom swordsman in my mind practicing thousands of cuts that merged with my own experience. Agility bonus jumped to 6. Then I swallowed the remaining 4 pills. 2,000 more proficiency points, pushing me to 2,000 out of 10,000 toward perfected level. That was over a month of training compressed into minutes. With blade practice needing about 4 more months to reach perfected, Sure Xion's benchmark for the 8th rank exam. I grabbed my cranebeak pick and headed for Tunnel 1. leveling was still the priority. Everything else followed from that. The next mining run drew over 1,000 miners, 10% of the entire workforce. I organized them into 5-person squads. Anyone who couldn't find 4 teammates stayed on the surface. That filter naturally weeded out troublemakers nobody wanted to work with. I sent Little White ahead into the deeper tunnels to feed on red gold and mark or deposits. Having her scout meant I'd always know where the best veins were, saving everyone time. The run went perfectly. No incidents, no sabotage, solid output from everyone. When we emerged, I confronted the remaining managers directly. I told them Fong was in prison. I was now a 9th-rank Iron Coat constable, and Wu had been confirmed as an enemy spy. Their patron Yang Jiwen was likely fighting for his own survival right now. They had a choice: cooperate or face consequences. They got the message. Daily output was already climbing past 100 pounds. With my mining team pushing hard and regular miners increasingly willing to enter the tunnels, the 3,500-pound target was well within reach. My personal finances had quietly crossed 1,000 taels. Wu's 800-plus mining income. I wanted better equipment, especially a superior saber, but the local blacksmiths could only make basic tools. A master weaponsmith named Iron Bull worked in Changha Prefecture, 400 miles away. Too far for now. I ordered the blacksmiths to produce more steel cranebeak picks instead, 30 more from existing materials, to equip the growing player workforce. Then, back at my residence, the 3-level, 10 players who'd been hiding their identities were waiting for me. Yang Ling, the 3 of us are actually players too. I'd known since day 1. They were all level 10, stuck at the advancement barrier, and clearly experienced. I'd suspected they were professional gold farmers from their behavior. They'd finally decided to reveal themselves, probably hoping I could help them advance their classes. I was curious what they'd offer in exchange. Players at level 10 with unknown leveling techniques could be valuable allies or competitors. Time to hear what they had to say. The 3 hidden players finally revealed themselves. I pretended to be surprised. They were all level 10, stuck without advancement, and couldn't see their stats. The oldest one, Gao Chun, did the talking. They wanted to buy my Black Tiger Fist manual. I set the price at 500 taels. They balked. They'd only saved about 100 between the 3 of them. When Gao Chun offered 5 million in real-world currency to be transferred after we escaped Divine Domain, I shut that down cold. Nobody was getting out. Real money meant nothing here. Only in-game silver kept you alive. Then Gao Chun played his real card, a secret, a monster farming location that could rocket my level. I was interested. I dropped the price to 100 taels plus the secret. He told me about Tunnel 36, where a hidden underground river led to a stone grotto filled with insect pupae, thousands of them. Each pupa could be crushed underfoot and gave massive experience, more than even the red gold mantises. His team had found this place and blasted from nothing to level 10 in a single day. They were probably among the first 30 players to hit 10, but without advancement paths, they'd been stuck ever since. I confirmed they were professional gold farmers like me. That explained their efficiency and caution. I had Gao Chun lead me to the spot. We swam several miles down the underground river and climbed into the grotto. The sight was staggering. Countless pupae covering every surface. Some kind of mind bug breeding ground. If these all hatched, the tunnel would become a death trap. I stomped one pupa. It popped, and the experience that flowed in was enormous. More than a red gold mantis kill. Gao Chun hadn't exaggerated. I handed over the Black Tiger Fist manual. He absorbed it instantly and confirmed he could now see his attribute panel. He was officially a martial artist. The 3 of them left through the river. The moment they were gone, Little White burst from my collar and started devouring pupae eagerly. I looked at the vast field of experience points stretching out before me, thousands upon thousands of pupae waiting to be crushed. Time to grind. The grotto was a gold mine of experience. Deeper in, the pupae were packed so densely I could crush 10 with a single step. In under an hour, I leveled to 19. I tried putting the point into Spirit, and the system rejected it. Spirit was capped at 30 without a corresponding spiritual cultivation technique. I'd need a specific type of martial art to break through. Something to ask Su Qing about later. I switched to Agility instead. Level 19 and 20 both went into Agility, bringing it to 7, then 8. When I hit level 20, the announcement came. First player in all of Divine Domain. out of over 1 million, to reach level 20. The reward materialized, a silver random chest, 2 tiers above my first white chest, when it should have only been blue. Being first gave a quality bonus. Inside was a martial technique manual. My heart sank briefly. I already had more techniques than training time. Then I read the name. Lingering Void Steps. First-rate movement technique. First-rate. Like Diamond Bright King technique. The details made my head spin. Initial understanding gave 12 agility. Thorough comprehension 24, perfected 36, mastery 48, and transcendence an insane 80 agility, plus the ability to walk on air. Even at thorough comprehension, combined with Diamond Bright King technique and Thief Catching Blade, my total agility would hit 52. Fast enough to escape virtually anyone I'd encountered. I absorbed it immediately, then kept stomping pupae while practicing the footwork. Proficiency and experience climbing simultaneously. I pushed through to level 21 before the grotto ran dry. Little White had eaten her fill too. She'd grown 3 times her original size, body hard as red gold, and jumped to level 5. Every level gave her 1 point in all 3 stats, which was extraordinary growth. Then, as I was swimming out through the underground river, I glanced back and saw something enter the grotto. Something enormous. Its stats were all question marks, every single attribute unreadable. A creature called Tyrant Ghost Spider. I swam for my life and didn't stop until I was safely outside Tunnel 36. Those pupae were its children. We'd been stomping its babies. I checked the ranking board. My name sat at the very top. Yang Ling, Iron Coat Bureau, level 21, Constable. First place. The 4 great sect disciples were at 19 to 20, a full level or 2 behind me. Huewu had fallen to 6th at 17. From Vagrant Miner to the number 1 ranked player in Divine Domain. The gap between me and the rest was becoming a cliff. But somewhere in the depths of Tunnel 36, a creature with unmeasurable power was probably very, very angry about its missing children. I sealed Tunnel 36 immediately, claiming dangerous mind bugs inside. The real reason was that terrifying creature with unmeasurable stats. Gao Chen's team probably thought I was just protecting their secret grinding spot. I shifted my focus. Mining took only 2 or 3 hours daily, just enough to maintain progress. The rest went to Diamond Bright King technique for 15 daily experience points, and Lingering Void Steps for proficiency. With Spirit at 30, my training speed was impressive, 3 proficiency points per hour. Lingering Void Steps hit initial understanding in just 2 days, boosting agility by 12. I kicked myself for using all 5 spirit refinement pills on Thief Catching Blade technique. If I'd saved 2, I could have immediately pushed Void Steps to thorough comprehension. I put my level up attribute points into agility now. Spirit was capped at 30 without a special cultivation technique, which I didn't have yet. Something to investigate later. Over 2 weeks, I leveled only once to 22, and my ranking slipped to 5th as the 4 great sect disciples pushed ahead. Lin Tsai reached 23, but I didn't care about the rankings right now. I was building something more important. On the 15th day, Lingering Void Steps broke through to thorough comprehension. When I activated everything, Diamond Bright King technique, plus Void Steps, plus Thief Catching Blade, my agility hit 54. I could cross 10 meters in a single step. My blade moved like a storm, and dust swirled in my wake for seconds after I stopped. Against someone like Wu Man, I'd now be untouchable. Then Su Qing's cousin Su Shan arrived with 3 Mountain River sect members to escort the monthly red gold shipment. The production count, 3,782 pounds, well above the 3,500 target. Su Shan was thrilled. Su Qing's pledge to the sect master was fulfilled. The 11 remaining managers stood with complicated expressions. They'd been powerless to stop the surge. Thousands of regular miners were now voluntarily entering the tunnels daily, making sabotage impossible. Su Shan also mentioned that Su Qing's master wanted to ask me about the Wu case. I'd need to personally escort the red gold to Mountain River sect headquarters. A month ago, that summons would have worried me. Now, I was a 9th rank Iron Coat constable with agility that could outrun nearly anyone in the kingdom. Mountain River sect wouldn't dare touch me. On the road to Mountain River sect, I rode alongside Su Shan with the red gold convoy. I steered our conversation toward martial arts, fishing for information. He mentioned something called intent. a higher manifestation of martial technique mastery that required natural talent. He said the divine sect possessed a technique called the Divine Path Scripture that could boost spiritual perception and training speed. That sounded exactly like the spirit-enhancing cultivation art I needed to break past my cap of 30. Filed that away for the future. Then one of the escort disciples rode back with a warning. A tea stand ahead had suspicious customers, over a dozen people with fighters' hands. Su Shan and I rode ahead to investigate. I checked their stats instantly. Almost all were martial artists from Giant Spirit Gate, the same Rong tribe sect as Wu Man. They were here for revenge. One of them recognized me and screamed for the others to attack. 8 rushed me while 2 kept Su Shan pinned. The 3 Mountain River sect disciples at the rear were about to abandon us and flee with the cargo. I didn't even need Diamond Bright King technique. Just lingering void steps and thief-catching blade technique. 39 agility total. I vanished from their sight. 3 heads flew, then 3 more. The remaining fighters died before they could react, each killed with a single slash. None of them had Wu Man's iron skin defense. Cutting through them was like slicing vegetables. The whole fight lasted seconds. Su Shan stood there speechless. The tea stand owner was on the ground in shock. I pulled out my iron coat badge and announced that the Rong spies had been eliminated. Su Shan stammered, asking if I was a 9th-rank martial artist. I told him I hadn't been formally tested yet, meaning my power was there, just unregistered. He immediately jumped to a conclusion. The Iron Coat Bureau must have planted me in Green Mountain City because they suspected more Rong agents in the area. I didn't confirm or deny it. Let people draw their own conclusions. The Iron Coat Bureau would assume Mountain River Sect trained me. Mountain River Sect would assume the Bureau developed me. By the time either side figured out the truth, I'd be far beyond their ability to question. We sent a messenger to Captain Lin for body cleanup and continued toward Mountain River Sect with the convoy intact and my reputation elevated yet again.